All right, now we're in.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this spot's pretty dope for this. Yeah, because before this, Mario was trying to figure out a better way to record. Because before this bot, we were just recording on Audacity, and in post recording, to line everything up, it was kind of a pain in the ass to line up everybody's like recording, right? So this is a lot better.
Okay,
So like,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So you were talking about the discovery of these ancient skulls in Peru, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, there
It's
was
fun.
ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, there's ancient skulls in Peru that they've known about this for many years, from my knowledge. And I remember even looking into this even back when they remember back it was like History Channel, and then they had like the ancient aliens guy, with like the freaking nutso type of hair. It was like back when memes were still in its early infancy, and so it was just like this guy, it's like explanation for something, aliens every single time. That was like the meme. So yeah, so on the episode, so one of the episodes usually used to go over like the whole, like skull thing, right, in Peru that they found. And so, I remember like watching that series, and I think I even watched something else that was related to either Discovery or History Channel. But basically, it wasn't even the first time I saw this somewhere. So come to think of it, it was interesting to like kind of like post about on Telegram before, because I used to have my own group, and I would post about this, like, the whole skull thing. Why is it that there's certain, mummies are found to have like this anomaly? And, it's, yeah, some of it is due to like the whole skull binding thing, that's for sure. But there's certain ones that have a clear distinction from those other skulls. That's clear that there was manipulation of the natural human head, and that there were certain skulls that just had that natural curvature as well as elongation, that we see.
No,
So it was really
the
interesting
first
to like look into. Yeah.
the first thing I noticed, or that came to my mind actually when I saw this, I thought of the Indiana Jones Part Four. I think that's where
Oh my
they're.
god.
Well, I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at the heads now, I think that's where they got the motivation from. I'm assuming. I mean, it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of folklore within that region, right? When it comes to these sort of things, which is kind of cool, right? And it seems like what is this guy's name again? Because he reminds me of Graham Hancock. He's
Oh,
also
Tim
like ask
Alberino.
Tim Alberino. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
should like Tim Alberino. I should check him out. Yeah, because I know Graham Hancock is also challenging the archaeology when it comes to like ancient civilizations and stuff like that.
It's not even just him, but one of the big guys that's coming up too, and I think we could probably argue he's at the forefront right now for all of this is Randall Carlson.
Randall Carlson.
You
Randall
know that guy?
Carlson.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Some
He's all over the algorithm. He's all over.
rings a bell. Was he on Joe Rogan when
Yeah.
they talked about
He was
this
on
sort of
Joe
thing?
Rogan before, and he was with Graham Hancock. He was side by side
Okay,
with him.
it's a big dude. It's a big
Um,
gentleman, right? Big
yeah,
gentleman,
yeah.
heavy
So
set
he's
guy.
got the it looks like
Uh,
Santa Claus. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I imagine he will smoke a pipe rather than a cigar type of dude. All right, fair enough.
Yep. Yeah.
All right,
So
cool. Yeah,
Graham
man.
Hancock, he was the journalist, and Randall Carlson is basically a geologist slash researcher.
So they're on the same page, which is very interesting. See, that's the thing about archaeology. Within any sciences, man. It's at the end of the day, it's all political, right? And Mario recommended me to read this book called "Wrong" by David Friedman, I believe his name is, and Friedman, David Friedman, I should say. And it talks about how even experts, like within a certain field, especially in science, and when they publish journals, you'd be amazed how there's so much fraud within these journals. A lot of people publish certain journals because they need the funds, right? If they're not going to publish
Uh-huh.
anything, they're not going to receive like federal aid or funds from investors, which is very alarming.
Yeah.
So the fact that these men are challenging the existing, study. Maybe they try to block them for certain reasons. Maybe it's one of them. Who knows? I looked up online about these studies that you're talking about, and yeah, on the mainstream, they're saying that there's not enough evidence and blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, anything that's published, I was like a certain percentage of them, they're not even challenged either. So there's a lot of discrepancies there as well.
It's not a good circumstance. It's not a good look, especially due to the fact that, there's people saying that there's not enough evidence, but on the contrary, what could be said is that we're not simply allowed to just ask questions and to look further in depth into like what the whole dilemma is, Why is it that for like these skulls in particular, why is it that we're not having the access to these mummies that we ought to, so that we can research this further? So it begs like some question marks as to like if there's an agenda, if it's like all this type of stuff. But I think for me personally, like the bottom line should always be the truth, right? I mean, forget about like agenda, forget about all this type of stuff. I think that for me personally, like I'm more concerned about like what's actually true, what's not true. And if it just so happens to just break the mainstream narrative in terms of like what was thought before, it doesn't necessarily bother me because it's happened many times before. And that was like the thing. It was like, I mean, we joke about sometimes, right? It was like flat Earth,
Yeah.
and then like it was
Yeah.
like Galileo talking, Galileo making the proposition that the Earth revolves around the sun, And so, I mean, I don't see this as any different. It's just like, I mean, there's so much that we don't know compared to what we do. So, if there is like, some type of like, what Tim Alberino, he's proposing, like the Nephilim philosophy, it's like or the Nephilim, I should say, I shouldn't say philosophy, I should say, just the Nephilim proposition, right? It's, there's prior contact between human beings and like another dimension that we don't have access to right now. Or, what the other side is just not, complying, So, it's something interesting. Randall Carlson, like, always talks about Younger Dryas, like somewhere around 12,000, 13,000 years ago. There was a huge cataclysmic event, just wiped out all the megafauna, right? And that was considered as like, at first, not Randall Carlson, not just Randall Carlson, but Graham Hancock talking about it. It was such a slap in the face to so many archaeologists and so many people that were into geology, because it was like you were taught in schools, you were taught in universities that, that there was a certain, there was cataclysmic events, but there was nothing that could have wiped out human civilizations to the point to where, that we're literally descendants of people that were just like, the survivors of this cataclysm, right? What we were thinking like previously before was like around 6,000 years of modern human history, right? What they're saying is told to 13,000. It's such a huge contrast, right?
It's called
But why
prehistory,
not?
which is a mystery. Yeah, it's always a
Yeah.
mystery. So
But what do we know?
so
Like what? Yeah.
yeah, sure, of course. And again, it's all about when or said earlier. There's a lot of politics in archaeology, or with any scientific field, actually. Unfortunately, so there's a lot of
Yeah.
misconceptions out there. People don't really because people assume that anything that's published, it's 100% accurate. Actually, when I read that
Well,
book, Wrong by David Friedman, it really opened my eyes that there's also a lot of error. I'm talking like I can't give you a percentage, but it's a big portion. A lot of it is bullshit. For example, in the book it talked about cloning lambs. The cloning thing back in the day, like in the late '90s, they're talking about cloning lambs and shit like that. And eventually, that story disappeared. You come to find out there was I believe he's a Korean scientist. He pretty much fudged the whole research. He just made it all up. So,
that comes to
anyways,
no
that's
surprise. He's Korean.
yeah, because it disappeared. What's up with the cloning? Like, well, how did that happen? It was like a promising study, right? And it just disappeared.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's say Nagasaki, is it not Nagasaki? I should say has arrived. Are you there, Nagasaki? Nagasaki, I should say. I guess she's here, but she's probably listening or she's doing something else. All
Spectating.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we had Larry and Gustav, Kobe and Kyle. Yeah, they would be here as well, but they're busy with other things. I think we're gonna have to reschedule what time to meet up because we're doing it on Fridays, but it seems like we have to change it because people are busy at this time. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. Man, that's kind of cool that we're
Cool.
doing this.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah.
It gives me more time to prepare, anyways.
Oh, this time's good for you, huh? Okay. Oh, like on the weekends, right? Throughout the week,
Oh
you have to
yeah,
suck
yeah.
up.
I mean,
Yeah, for
there's so
sure.
much I have to look into. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because
dude.
I have to jot down stuff from like Randall Carlson and put together with stuff that I find from like not Tim Alberino, but just the stuff that has to do with like the freaking like those skulls, and those mummies and stuff like that. It's so freaky, dude. I mean, all that stuff is just really freaky because we're getting in a really weird phase in archaeology right now. We're in a really weird thing. I think one of the big stuff that we were coming across was like what was it? It was what was it? A month or two ago, we find out there's like mega monoliths or structures underneath the pyramids. How
Oh, yeah, that
crazy is
was a
that?
recent. It was like a recent discovery, right? Not that
Yeah,
long
yeah,
ago.
yeah. But that was through scans. And
LiDAR.
yeah, yeah. So essentially, there's
Uh,
not going to be, from what I understand, any further investigation as to what it is. But it kind of is interesting because there's a lot of people saying that this was, the pyramids, the Great Sphinx. This is just something that the Egyptians inherited from another civilization that came
yeah,
before them.
a lot of people don't know that. That's true. People don't even
Yeah,
know those people. That's a big mystery. The Sphinx. They didn't even know where it came from, like how it was built
yeah,
and when exactly it was built. That's
yeah.
fascinating, right there.
Hey,
Nagieski's here. So
sorry about that. I was like mid burger and then I looked at the time and I was like, "Oh my god,
mid
it's
burger, huh? All right, what'd
yeah,
you get?
dude." I was like halfway into my burger and then I was like, "Oh my god, it's 7:15." So I was like, "Oh, I got to go hop on the pod real quick."
In and
Um
out, five guys.
no,
What you
we made
working with?
burgers. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. It's
It's
Fourth
4th
of
of
July.
July.
Happy Fourth, everybody. Happy Fourth.
Happy 4th.
Right now, it's the fifth. Where I'm at.
Yeah. So I was just like, I swore I was gonna come, and I'm so sorry about the previous times, but yeah.
That is
Uh,
what it is. How's your pops doing?
my pops is all right, bro. He's. I feel like you might know the typical, like how can I say it, Mexican archetype of a man. Doesn't let like even if he's like getting ill, doesn't want anybody to know, doesn't want anybody to like
Well,
care.
he's
He's
well,
fine.
he's
I'm
functioning.
good.
He's functioning.
Yeah.
Put it that way. He's nominal.
He's out
All
here,
right, fair
bro,
enough.
ignoring
All
it.
right.
So I mean, and, like he's my dad, right? I
Yeah.
care about
Okay.
him a lot,
Okay.
so we're trying to
Yeah.
make it work. But high blood pressure, the economy is certainly not helping his like everything's getting more and more expensive. He wants to buy certain types of things, like another house that's like 600,000. I'm like, brother, please.
I mean, if you could do it, yeah. If he has a good plan, then do it. If not, then don't. If he doesn't have a good solid plan, then don't do
There's
it.
no, you know.
600,000. That's a lot of pressure, yo. Yeah. But
Yeah, he already has a house though. So it's like they
mm,
want to keep both. Okay? My little sister works at the bank and like he's like, I'm gonna pull out from my 401k. And she's like, dear God, please don't. Like that's your only thing. Like if they get rid of social, you're fucked. You're fucked. So my little sister's like, no, 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 please.
again, if the plan is feasible and he knows how to get I guess the plan he's going to buy it and then rent it out. I'm assuming you just have to be careful with that. It is possible, but you can't be stupid about it. My my older sister, I learned from her mistake because back in this is back in 2008. Well, 2006, she bought a house. She had a townhouse, right? She was about to pay off, and then she goes, "Oh, during that time, the whole like, oh, you could get a loan without that much money. Here you go, just give you money. I mean, that's why a lot of people were doing this. And then the bubble popped in the housing market, and she
During the
suffered.
recession, yeah.
Yeah, so you just gotta be smart with it. You gotta be done with it. You gotta be very careful.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
this
it's
was their
possible.
second rodeo. So,
Yeah.
because I mean, they had like 5 during the recession. So, like, let me tell you that and just leave it there. They had 5 properties.
Okay, so they know what's up. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
they
it's a
had, or I mean,
hell.
they sold. I mean,
It's
they
a
had.
hell.
They sold them all. They got rid of them all,
No, no, no,
or
no. Like,
uh,
the recession hit so hard, no one was renting, no one was doing nothing, right?
okay,
So,
okay.
no one.
Honestly, I honestly, if I was their pops, I wouldn't even get a single house like a family house. Like I'll invest in like duplexes. That's what I would do.
He already has had this crib, okay? And it's appreciated in value about like 250K. So,
Good.
pretty good,
That's
right?
pretty good.
But and especially they're getting older, right? I'm like gonna be the only one living with them, so I'm gonna have to step up on how much I pay them now because my older sister is moving out with her husband and my nephew lived here for like because it's way cheaper than getting like an apartment. It's so expensive here. So
It's
they
expensive
found a
everywhere.
house to rent.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm about to be paying like 2 grand to help them out, and they're thinking about
Yeah.
buying another crib and like keeping this. And I'm like, don't do it, bro. Like, especially because they're like older in age. I'm like a 2-story house. Like they're like, oh, 10 parking. Like a room for 10 cars. I'm like, dude, doesn't like you guys are getting older. You guys, I thought you guys wanted to, double down and get something smaller, sell this and, live like that's how they'd live comfortably, I think.
I don't know what their goal is. Maybe they want to do other things with it. But yeah, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, 2000. So you're
I
gonna pay
mean,
2000 a month. That's a lot cheaper than California. I'll tell you that. A decent apartment would cost you around $4,000 now. So I
I
don't
mean, I'm not the only reason I'm complaining is because it's like everybody else who lives with their family doesn't pay rent, and they're like, "Oh, they make you pay rent. Oh, they make you." Yeah, you think I live
Yeah, you
here?
gotta help out, dude. Yeah, especially if you're working, you gotta pay. It's fair.
Yeah, so I'm just like, "Damn." Um, and then they're like, "You live with your parents." Haha, you bitch. Shut the fuck up, dude. Utilities, all that shit. It's like, and then on top of that,
Well,
you gotta keep everything
yeah.
like pristine. Well, like the one thing I will say is that I'm glad that my dad was a stickler for cleanliness because I cannot live in filth. So I don't know.
Well, there's I mean, don't feel bad about it. I think millennials and Gen Z's, but for sure millennials, people, it's like the average millennial in their 30s live with their parents still. So that's just how it is. Yeah.
Even trying to
But,
feel bad about it though. Like people are like, "Oh,
yeah.
that's so terrible." I'm like, "Okay, sure, shut the fuck
No,
up."
it is what it is. It's a situation.
Yeah, like, I
There,
mean,
there's
like,
there's a
do you have your
yeah.
house? Do you have a mortgage? Shit, come back to me when you get a mortgage and
Mm,
like that's different, okay? If you have your own crib like that, like good on you, but a lot of people don't.
mm.
They're just renting. And so it's like,
Speaking about that, let me ask you guys this, and this makes a lot of sense why it's happening. People under 30 or in the United States are advocating for socialism instead of capitalism. I find that very interesting. It kind of makes sense because people in Gen Z and millennials, like the younger millennials, are like being screwed over when it comes to being able to afford their own home, have a mortgage. I think the average age to start a mortgage is like in the late 40s now, which is crazy.
Ooh.
wait, am I too loud? I'm sorry.
Nah, I would have told you if you were allowed, you're fine.
Mikhail,
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll let you speak on that for a bit, then I'll give my piece.
I mean, in terms of the whole socialism thing, I think it's because actually young people really do feel like they're getting screwed and they don't see an alternative except for that, So, think about it. You're at a low position, you're a student, you're eating noodles every day, box mac and cheese, you can't really afford health insurance. You can't really, you're basically you're trying to live off your parents at the same time you're trying to work so that you can like what? Hopefully live by yourself. And if you manage to get that, it's like, how much are you paying for rent, right? You're paying like around, it depends where you're at. I think you're what, let's say like you go for a studio, 1300 a month, something like that, 1200, 1300 a month
Yeah.
per, yeah, and then you're working full time. Oh no, part time, right? And then you're at the university. You're barely scraping by. You need help from your parents, right? So
And if you
food's
got no
expensive
parents,
too.
then government assistance, and if not, then you take on a second job, right?
Yeah.
And then you're overworked, tired as hell. Like, why is this happening to me? So I understand the perspective of a lot of people gearing towards socialism. I also recognize the issues that come along with that. It's not just all sunshine and rainbows on one side or the other. So it's It's understandable simply just because of the actions that were taken in the generations before. You know what I mean? And a lot of the people still in power often vote in their best interest. And if you look at the demographic for voters, like locally, the people who actually can stir up the most power because they're in Senate and in Congress, you know what I mean? These people are often in positions they've been in for like over 20 years. Same people voting for them. A lot of younger voters aren't aware of how much of an impact it is necessary to vote locally in your community. But I think our generation is also like quick to stimulation. You know what I mean? We want things to be done efficiently and immediately. So if you don't think that something will be resolved immediately, a lot of people just brush that off. I don't know if you guys agree, but it's like we got a low tolerance of how much we can consume before we're like, okay, yeah, whatever, move on to the next thing, right? So that's just what I've.
Well, yeah, I think the instant gratification aspect is not a good thing for younger people to, live in the real world. And yeah, we've been misled. I mean, my generation also. I'm reading this book, by the way. It's called "How Not to Be a Millennial." It's a very good book. it just talks. It just talks about how this is like one of the weirdest social experiments ever done, and it's disastrous. So I think the millennials and Gen Zs have been affected by it, and unfortunately, within any economy, there's no solution. In the real world, and the older I become, I realize there's no such thing as 100% solution. There's always trade-offs, so you
Right.
have to give up something. So the thing about I mean, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. This is what the younger generation wants. They want to say fuck capitalism. They just go for social democracy. Here's the other problem with that. Because here's the thing: people say, "Oh, Sweden and Norway and the Norwegian countries, right? Look, they have socialism, but they don't really understand how that society works. The
It
way it's working
depends on.
there, the what they have is a social democracy under the capitalistic economy. They
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think
that.
the idea of like these terms are thrown around just like Kobe has said before. I think that these terms of like capitalism and communism and socialism are pretty much synonymous here in the United States. Like there are so many caveats to each and every type of how can I say it, political belief system. And so it's like, what
Mm.
type of socialism are you referring to when you're talking about this?
Right.
Because if it's socialism in the terms of like, I believe that like because like let's put it in the dumbest terms ever, I guess, that some people believe socialism is in its entirety is that it's just the wealthy, the trickle off effect, which has surely not worked at all, like that's supposed to be implemented here. You know what I mean? It'll the wealthier helps support the poorer, but as like correct me if I'm wrong, but socialism was supposed to be a actual political type of structure that was supposed to almost regulate how much a corporation can I don't want to say like violate, but basically violate people. You know what I mean? And a lot of people get crazy at me when I say that like I think regulation should really be enforced. And if you look at the statistics, we have been the most efficient and produced the most amount of product over
Mhm.
any type and any period in time ever. Okay. And you can say
Right.
it's due to automation, it's due to this and due to that, but it's still the workers playing at hand, right? Or, if the case were that automation was so self-sufficient, like they would have done it already by now. I'm just saying that I think that the ability for a individual working for a company needs to be shared upon, especially when when the profit margin has been significantly increasing. Have you ever worked at a company where they're like, "Oh, we just had the best quarter ever. Here's a pizza party for all your hard labor," and then inflation is going like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense when they're the core of your infrastructure supporting this type of labor, supporting these type of profits. I'm not saying that, oh, everybody gets a half and half. Everybody gets equal, all across the board. That's not what it's supposed to be, but they should have a say in how the not the distribution of the money, but like I think the idea of like companies like Tesla giving stock margins, even though they're like basically nothing to employees, is supposed to feed into this socialist idea and try to like convolute a lot of people into thinking that they have some power. And this might feed into some socialist type of ideas. I don't know if this is just me, but it seems like, when people feel like they have power, they're more content with where they are. You know what I mean?
Well, they'll try the best to stay in that position. Well, yeah. Again, as you mentioned earlier, United States is one example that they did produce, or they're the most innovative. I would say and people they have this misconception that if you work for a corporation, you're set for life. There's nothing that's 100% stable, man. You know what I'm saying? And you have to, fit in, get in where you fit in, have a plan. And unfortunately, people don't have a plan for the future. So there's people out there that just work 9 to 5 until they retire, which is fine. Other people work, save up money, and start something else, right? So you do have those options. Other countries, you really don't have that much option. So again, there's no perfect thing, and honestly, it's up to you what type of lifestyle you want to live. Here's the thing, and people get pissed off what I say, but I think it's for real. If you really don't like capitalistic type of society, you could leave. You could go to another country. You could apply to a European country. You could apply to a more socialist country. If you're a type of person that you really don't want to have to take care of your responsibilities and create your own future, and you'd rather work for somebody, fine. If you want bigger government, fine. Just as an American, I think it's either you figure out what you can do and be productive within that society, create your own thing, because that is the incentive that most
Dream type thing,
immigrants
right?
want. Yeah, they do. People are dying still to get to America. People are waiting in line to get to America for a reason, because other countries there's not that much opportunity.
Right.
So it all depends what you want to do. I'm learning Chinese, right? And I spoke to several people from China, and I talked to a lot of young people, and a lot of them want to go to the United States, and I asked them why. That number one, it's freedom, straight up for freedom. I get more options, more opportunities. Like, okay. And I'll be honest, and I said this before in other conversations. I think the United States, there's a lot of people that they already have the freedom, but they don't know how valuable it is. And some people are very irresponsible, and they probably need somebody to get them in line. So there's some people that can't handle freedom, and they need to live in a country where
Yeah.
they tell them what to do. So it's vice versa.
Yeah,
Right?
I
So
mean, there are people who are obviously set in positions of likelihood to follow than lead, right? But this is my question to you. So if the American dream, right, coming here to like actually not just be a employee or basically contributor to a company or a corporation, right? If they're not just here to be workers and everybody's just here to be following the white picket fence, American dream, this is my business, then who's going to be working? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we have to realize, but this is also a subset of the American dream that a lot of immigrants, whether illegal or legal, believe that if you come to America, regardless if you start your own business or not, if that opportunity was not available to you in your home country or wherever you resided in beforehand, if you come here and you work hard, you will be recognized. This was a sentiment very much so held up by Gen X. Like, they're like, what the problem is with millennials and Gen Z is they don't keep a job for longer than, 5-10 years, because if they worked hard enough and showed their loyalty, they would have gotten this, and that. You know what I mean? And I think that's also an issue because that's as times change, that's not the case anymore. It's certainly not the case. I don't know if you can agree, Chuck, but
no,
you
I
can't.
follow. I follow. You're describing all the symptoms, but you didn't mention one major factor, which most millennials and Gen Zs got screwed over. It's the fact that we've been lied to when it comes to going to university. That's the big
Not only
factor.
that though, I think
Well, let me hear me out. Hear me out.
yeah,
Hear
go
me
ahead.
out. So the thing is, like before all of this, what you know, what most young people did back
Mm,
then, before this whole education system became rampant since 1950, majority of the young people actually worked right after high school. Not even during high school. Some people didn't have finished high school. So what happens was they had an apprentice, journeyman, craftsman, and then master relationship. So what you said earlier about how people right now there's no incentive anymore. They're just going to work and then they want to get promoted, but they don't have enough skills or it's just flooded. There's a lot of they call it educational inflation or credential inflation now. Well, what happened before, which we should implement, I think, is people should find a skill early on, get that experience. Yes, you're going to be working for somebody, you'll be an apprentice, but once you gain those skills, you eventually will start your own business by 20 something years old.
I definitely agree. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mikkel. I don't know if you have anything to say, but I was just gonna quickly say this that as someone who went to trade school, okay, because yes, let me tell you that there are union programs that will help you get apprenticeships. But unless you are born into a family or have networking into a position of apprenticeship, it is very, very difficult to get the quote unquote experience to do said job nowadays. I'm not sure how long it's
Right,
been
right,
since you've been here,
right.
but and since my trade school was because trade schools aren't public, they're not run by the state, federal, or anything, right? They are their own venture, so they could charge you just about like 3 years worth of college. Basically, is now I did the math on it, is how much I owed them after everything. I was like, damn, I should have just went to college. But like, I'm not gonna say that I'm regretful or anything because I caught really good jobs. I've gotten great experience from it, and then it made me realize that I like electrical theory. That's why I want to go get my bachelor's in electrical engineering, right? So even though it cost a lot, I can't deny that like I think I needed that, or else I wouldn't have known that I wanted to continue my education further in this. And as much as like I would like to sit here and say that I can just go join a union and just start up my apprenticeship, my little brother joined the electrical union about I would say 4 months ago. And after he got his first job as an apprentice, he got laid off during a slow period, and there's a long line because everybody is now looking into skill work because it's very, very it pays well. You get the benefits of actually retiring. You know what I mean? They give you a pension, guaranteed no matter what, because you work for the union. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, oh my God, you know what? Why the hell? Why would I go to college when I could do this? But the thing is there's such a saturation for people going into it that there's a huge waiting list. You know what I mean? Until you get the actual skills, it is extremely difficult, or until you perhaps have some network connections,
Yeah, there's no perfect solution. You got to figure it out. But I just advocate that in the United States, I just don't want it to become a socialist country. I'll be honest, I just don't want it to change that way. So if it's really that bad, if you can't save money, go to other country. Look what I did. I mean, I'm not a perfect example, but I found my way. Right now I'm teaching English, and eventually I want to become an interpreter. So I'm living here, saving money. Going up the stepstones. Eventually I will, host my own program, have my own business, have my own clients. That's what I'm hoping for as I keep working, I get more experience, right? So again, you got to find your niche. Yes, unfortunately, you're right. There's a lot of saturation. If you're smart, you got to find niches, and there's many of them, and there's always going to be problems to solve. You just got to find it. And so you got to be, as a young guy, especially, you got to be careful what's going on online because there's all these like get rich schemes and pyramid schemes are
Dude,
everywhere.
the
You got to be very
academy.
you gotta be careful with that. So yeah, you just gotta find your niches, get a skill set, find a skill. You could definitely find it. There's a lot of things they need. Unfortunately, and there's another thing too. People are choosing things that they like. You gotta find
Oh,
something that you're
that's
good at.
terrible, dude.
That's a
Actually,
big difference.
my
Uh-huh.
dad gave me a book at like 14. It was called
Right.
Worthless. Okay. And I was like,
Okay.
what the fuck? Why? Why?
Hmm. What's it about?
It talks about all the worthless degrees and the statistics on like what college degrees would actually give you any benefit into studying. And then of course it went into what STEM was for the first time at like 14 for me. I was like, Jesus Christ. But the author talked about like the idea of like, yes, you can do whatever you want, honey, as long as you set your mind to it. Like, no, the previous generation coddled basically millennials and Gen Z into thinking that, like, oh, I'm gonna study to be an actor, or I'm gonna be an English major, or I'm gonna like make this
Yeah.
fake
Right.
degree that doesn't even exist.
Well,
Like,
that's partially true. They could have said you could do whatever you want, or you could, if you put your mind to it, you could accomplish your goals. That is true, but they said, "Oh no, only in college. College is the only pathway." That's the lie. The fact is, if you put your mind to it, you really can accomplish it. You just got to be more practical about it. That's the fact. That's the caveat, right? But you're right. Unfortunately, everybody, especially my generation and your, Gen Z generation, we've been lied to. Oh, college is the best way. This is the only pathway. I think nowadays, college, university, if you're not majoring in STEM fields, university should be like a supplement. What you
yeah,
already been doing, right? Go part time. When I was in university, which before I dropped out, I've seen a lot of 30-year-olds, like lawyers, or they're already in the field. They just need to get a bachelor's for this thing, so they're already in the field. A lot of people in their 30s in university. I went to a state college in California.
what year was this?
This is back in 2000s, the 2000s, like 2005, 2006.
I don't want to be
So,
biased, but
right.
it seems a little bit too much. Like, because I met someone, okay? I met actually quite a few people that were like head engineers because, I'm working in that type of environment, and they're old bastards, okay? So I was like,
Oh,
so
yeah,
where
of
did you
course.
study? They're like,
Right, right,
oh,
right.
I joined when the company started. If I could join when the company established, gee, like, yeah, me too. Like, I would if I could, but they never went to school for that. You know what I mean? They learned on the job. I'm not taking anything away from their intellect, but they had opportunities that are not presented to most. And the thing is that nowadays when people start their Kickstarter businesses or their like little ideas, most of them are so scammable. Okay, there's so many of them. Like, I'm not gonna go off, like, at least these companies that gave these men the opportunity, because I'm gonna say I never met a woman who was an engineer that old. Okay, I'm gonna be real. Um, I love seeing women in STEM, and that's actually why I kind of wanted to go into STEM because I saw a maintenance technician, and she was a girl, and she was like the most knowledgeable one, and she was called all the time, but she knew her shit, right? So I mean, that's great for her, and I, like, really saw that as awesome because I was scared to be in that type of environment, but these older men who started with the company, they got paid at the beginning, right? And like most Kickstarters or, like, wannabe type of corporations or companies, I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but some of them are like, "Oh, we can't pay you for the first like 6 months, but you know what? It'll be great for your internship." Da, 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 da. Like, you know what I mean? In this type of like life, this is a big thing that irks me is like unpaid internships are horrendously like malicious and also like something that is out of the norm because back in the day I could genuinely believe or see the experience was so valuable, but nowadays there's so many scam type of deals online. And like I love the internet, okay? I can't imagine being born in any other decade or any other point in time
Mm.
because I really appreciate what it could be, the potential it could have. Technology is like something it blows my mind for me. But the thing is that with the sheer amount of people, the sheer amount of access to this source of communication, people are misled into thinking that like they're starting a company they'll become something without that experience, without that like general knowledge, you know what I mean? Or they have the general knowledge and then they think that they'll gain the experience, but this company doesn't become something. So that's the issue, is that I genuinely feel like back then, because there wasn't as much of a saturation in the market for so many people getting into these types of fields, because I think they were looked down upon, right? Manufacturing, warehouse, like, oh, why are you working there? Why aren't you working at a bank, a law firm, this type of stuff? These people got the opportunity to build themselves. You know what I mean? I don't think that's like people look down on manufacturing and warehousing work like they did
So,
back
so
then.
so after all of this, you're saying what would be the best course of action for younger people? What would you tell them?
What would I tell them?
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm not. I'm not a guide, and you know what I mean.
You're just trying to survive. Fuck it.
I've made my mistakes, you know what I mean? I made
Uh,
my mistake of going to trade school. It cost me like 28K. That could have gotten me through 3 years of college. I'm gonna be real.
and it was the trade school for electrical engineering, you said?
Industrial electronic technology.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
here's the thing. Look, here's the thing. As I said earlier, I wish the younger people at right during high school, they have to have a plan, dude. If you don't have a plan and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, then you're fucked. I'll be honest. That's the thing we have to tell people. I learned it the hard way. I didn't have a plan. I just went in and said, all right, I like math and shit. I picked civil engineering. Then I'm like, all right, I don't see myself doing this. Dropped out, joined the military, fucking best decision of my life. And I got it. I like computers at the time, right? So I got into IT and I experienced with IT. I did my 4 years in military, got out, had my own business. And then I did like a dry cleaning service business. That was easy money, right? All I did was delivery, pickup and shit. I worked with like Hitachi and fucking Google and all these other companies and shit. They needed this service, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I lost it because of COVID, because everybody, worked from home. Who the hell's going to dress up at home, right?
God
So that
damn it.
sucks. So I lost that shit. So I'm teaching teaching English now, which is it's a niche. It's not it's not the best paying job, but it's something to stabilize myself in order to make my next move. That's the reality. See,
Right.
this is the dark side of capitalism.
It's not dark
Um,
side, but like, do you
but
feel
that's the
like everybody
reality of
can
it.
have a niche?
Say again?
Do you feel like everybody has the capability of having a niche?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That
Uh,
that's look. Here's the thing, and here's the other factor that a lot of younger people don't understand. The world is a dangerous, doesn't give a fuck about your feelings type of world. It's dark, yo.
huh,
You have to survive. You do have to survive, even though it's a lot easier now. And unfortunately, a lot of younger people don't understand this because a lot, and especially in the United States, a lot of it has been given to them. But people do not really, in the United States especially, don't really understand how life can be very difficult.
right.
And that is the issue. And that's I also have a problem with people who want socialism in a country where it does provide you opportunity. But again, why do you think a lot of people in socialist countries are trying to move to America if socialism is such a good thing? And ask you this: which socialist country actually worked? And it's not Denmark. And don't use Denmark in Norway. It's not a socialist country.
I'm not
Uh,
gonna use those
so
examples
yeah,
either, because I'm going to be honest and say that any type of political, how can I say, any type of government structure that is set in place is supposed to be in the benefit of the people. I sincerely believe that the people who founded it were supposed, like, had the intentions of giving the people the opportunities that previously maybe they were denied, like in the founding of it, right? So, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, bah, capitalism, like, but I would like to regulate a lot of things. You know what I mean? And I'm not calling for an all out socialist type of society either. It's very much so. I just feel like I want corporations to take more accountability because, like, can you understand my argument when I say that it's very difficult for a new company to come into the market, especially if everybody all of a sudden found their niche, you know what I mean? And wanted to start their own business, but there's already a corporation who could give you that for way, way cheaper. You know what I mean? And not even that, exploit their own employees and their profit margins. And you'll be like, okay, well, they should just go start their own thing and, find their niche. But then they find their niche. And then it's like, this never ending cycle of just in my opinion, I'm not being like, hey, everybody needs, food, clothing. It just on like that reality does not exist in this world, okay? And that sounds a little bit more communist, anyways, right? Everyone's guaranteed this and that. No, I think for me, it's just in certain aspects in the U.S. government system, there are certain or certain things set in place like public education from K to 12 that are like a socialist idea. You know what I mean? There are socialist programs that are not implemented for everyone across the United States that are socialist in nature, but we live with that, and we're not a capitalist, quote unquote, country. We are a federalist democracy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the opportunity for free market. That's the whole appeal of here, okay? For everybody to have the opportunity to buy in, to have the opportunity to get money through other means like stock market and now crypto bros. This is the quote unquote American dream, but you have to realize that the vast majority of Americans will never be able to even, they're living paycheck to paycheck, right? And I don't know if you view that as their own fault, right? But
So
if it is,
what's that? What is? Let me ask
what
you
is
this:
the solution?
what is the average income of Americans?
I believe the last time I checked, last year, okay, it was supposed to be like across the United States, bare average was supposed to be like 69K. Would it be okay if I looked it up?
I think it's like 40 to 50,
Really?
depending where you live.
Well, I mean, across the margin, like they take the median for like all of the states or whatever.
69K is
Right?
pretty. I mean, that's surprisingly high. That's pretty good. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, if you really want to make it now, have 6K, you have to work at least 80 hours a week. That's the reality. That is reality. So you have the idea would be work a regular job and then find a side hustle or a side business, personal trainer, tutor, electrician, whatever, IT, doesn't matter. There's a lot of niches out there.
But
You have
where
to do
are
those
like
too.
parents doing this? That's the thing. That's the thing,
Why
though.
aren't what?
This is
What
what
are
I'm.
parents?
No,
What do you mean
why?
parents?
Where are parents doing this? I mean, I don't know if your parents were doing this, but like the majority of American citizen Gen X, were they having to work two jobs to support like
Oh,
a
okay.
family
Let
of
me
six?
ask you this. That's a good question. Do you know why this is happening? Why the inflation has increased?
Can you
I
tell
it
me?
probably pissed it probably pissed off a lot of people.
Okay, can you tell me?
You said it
Jews.
earlier. It's go ahead, Mikhail. You've been quiet. You know what it is?
I said Jews, but I mean, I'm half
That's
kidding, I'm
true.
half
That's
not.
true.
I'm half kidding, I'm half not.
I'm not kidding. I
That
am
is
kidding. I'm sorry. I'm
all right.
sorry.
I'm
Like
gonna
I,
wait, wait, wait.
With the
I, as much as I would like to
conviction.
joke, I don't think it is a joke actually.
I said that with such
Oh man.
conviction, bro.
Oh, go ahead. But can you please substantiate this? I mean, I didn't expect that, but go ahead. Why do you think it's the Jews?
Well, I mean, if we go back to World War One.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like,
All right,
let's
let's
be
go.
real.
All right, let's lay it all out, baby. Let's lay it out.
Well, there's like the whole. I mean, here's the thing. There's the one of the big shifting points was like the removal of the golden standard. That was what the Bretton Woods conference. I think it was like during the ninth. It was for the Vietnam War effort, and this was like under Nixon. I think that they had like this whole agreement, just removing the gold from the gold standard and U.S. dollar separate. And that ties in also with like the whole Federal Reserve being created and that becoming its own private entity, and then basically printing money independently from the government. That goes against like this whole idea of a Hamiltonian credit system, national currency, that is. Because what right now, like the whole issue is that there's endless money being printed, and you're spending a lot. The government's spending a lot more money than what it can actually create. I mean, on top
No,
of
you're on the
that,
right
if we
track.
really
Hey, keep
want,
going. You're on the right
I
track.
mean,
Keep
if
going.
we really want to go in depth into this, we can call it like Venetian banking, which is
Sure.
basically this whole idea of like it's like this LaRouche shit, right? It's like
Right.
the British
Right.
copying the Venetian system, and on top of that, they're basically going into other countries and pillaging them and basically financing through war and bringing it back home, right? And so that's not
Mm.
sustainable in the long term. That's sustainable for a certain amount of time. because you're eliminating competition in the world. So that's why it's like a lot of these other countries are coming over to the United States too. It's because they also probably got fucked, by either the British or the
Yes.
United States.
Correct,
They
sir.
got
Yes.
fucked in some way, shape, or form, and so they don't have a lot of choice. They have to go to the country where they took all the pillaging from, right? So that's why a lot of people from North Africa, they go to France. Why? Because a lot of their wealth was being consumed by the French, right? Their gold reserves, their precious minerals, their oil, whatever the case may be, right? A lot of that was just being imported back over the French. Because why? Well, the French colonized North Africa. So, and that's
But
just the reality
Hey,
of the
brother.
situation.
Hey,
The
brother,
British,
you're
when it
giving
came
me.
to India, yeah.
I really understand the H-man mindset now.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
really do. I really do, because what he did was, dude, because people don't acknowledge it. At least acknowledge what this man did. Within, like, I would think a half a decade, this guy turned around the
H-man,
economy.
bro, just
It
say
is
his name.
no,
Come
but it's
on, let's
Hitler
all
or
give
Hitler or
okay,
no Hitler. Fine, I'll say Hitler. So
my
it
boy
look.
did some. Okay, I don't want to say
But what
something.
did he do exactly? He literally he backed the currency off of work. He didn't back it off of usury, because that's what it is. Usury, fractional reserve, or fractional market. Oh,
But when
fractional
you're
banking by interest and
yeah,
shit. That's the main factor. Yeah.
But when
What
you're
was that?
talking about the Bretton Woods conference, right? When you're talking about
yeah.
the Bretton Woods conference, when
All right.
we're speaking about this, like I be joking and kind of not joking, but like I do believe to some extent the Jews were, but like how like you also blamed it on the Western powers, like the US, because the Bretton Woods conference was simply to like shift the gold standard. Were you joking about the Jew thing, or like I don't
Oh
know.
no,
It just
that's partially that. No, I mean, I'm half kidding, half not. So that's up
I mean
to,
I mean
yeah.
I mean we all gotta
Well,
be.
let me ask you. Let me say something real quick. So the IMF and the World Banks, you have to
Mhm.
really know what they're doing. There's this book I recommended to. I put it on my. Well, it's in my server. I put it. It's under the book
Wait, I
club
don't think you ever
section.
added me to.
I just
Uh,
did, my dear. I just did.
no, no.
The thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just did to invite you in this because initially we were about to record another server, but I couldn't have the ability to record. But I had to start it here because Mario wasn't available. But here's the thing: there's this book called "A Confessions of an Economic Hitman" by John
Mm,
Perkins. Dude, you got to read that book. It will open your eyes on how the IMF and World Banks pretty much are the empire of this world. They're the ones that run the whole thing. How all what Mikhail mentioned earlier about how a lot of countries got screwed over. That's a fact. Since 1960s, John Perkins used to work for this company called Maine. It was like an electric company actually, and he convinced all these other countries like the South American countries, Panama, Ecuador, Peru. He also went to Indonesia. He also went to like the Middle Eastern countries. Dude, and by the way, these companies were a CIA front, like United Fruit, for example.
Oh yeah, United
And
Fruit, yeah.
are you talking about what is it? Del Sol or whatever the fuck?
are you talking about the banana and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is sold. I mean, it's one company, but maybe I don't know. I don't know about
Yeah,
that
I
one.
mean,
But
it's probably branched off. There's probably multiple companies,
probably.
but
Well,
United
there's
Fruit,
like
yeah, they were responsible for overthrowing local governments around like Central America
Yes.
during the 20th century.
Torrijos was taken out. The
Yeah,
Panamanian guy too, and what's the other guy?
yeah,
Nicaragua president Noriega.
yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
all these.
Basically, yeah.
So that book is just an eye opener. And guess
the
what's happened?
wars
And check
were
this out.
harder.
What was that?
I said the fruit wars were harder than the drug wars, I guess.
No, I'm just saying it just exploitation doesn't matter. It's just maximum exploitation, and they're in debt because they're using the usury system from the World Banks and the IMF, which are controlled by the the Jews, right? But I mean, John Perkins
I
didn't
mean, I
say
don't want
that
to
because,
claim,
well,
but
John Perkins didn't explicitly say that, but if he did, he probably wouldn't even publish his book. But at least he laid out a shit ton of facts in history because he
yo,
saw it all, man, since the '60s all the way up to now. And dude, and you got to check out that book, so, Confessions of the Economic Hitman. There's 3
okay.
editions. I recommend you read the 3rd edition, of course, because it's updated. I think it just got published a couple
Yeah.
years ago. And now at the last chapters, He's talking about China, how China is using the same playbook. The same, they understand the whole playbook, but they're using it a little differently. Because back then, America went to all these countries, they promised them, hey, you get a lot of money. I mean, that's what they tricked them, but unfortunately, they turned them into their slaves for like usury interest, right?
Who said
But the
this?
who said what?
There was a guy on Hello Talk who said, "Oh, well, at least Chinese imperialism is way better than American imperialism."
Who said that?
Oh, wait,
crazy.
Hold on, who was this? Oh God.
Well, Hello Talk is from China, so I'm not surprised.
Yo. Okay, so there was a guy. He's like, well, imperialism is bad, and America does this all the time. And then they're like, but at least when the Chinese do it, they come in and then they start offering them to buy their own goods. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
correct.
That's her method. That is her method. Yes.
And no, that's sick though, because I mean, at least they have the opportunity to buy like their toasters and stuff. I guess I don't know,
Yeah,
but he's
cheaper price. Yeah.
But I was just, what was it? I can't remember his name. I think it was something with a J, but it wasn't. No, it was not Jay. Okay, but like I think Jay was going against him too, and Ryder was there as well. Oh, dude, you've been missing so much, Truck. I'm not really on there.
I heard of Ryder. Mario mentioned him to me. We should have him on. I'm more the merrier. I mean, yeah, I would like to get back on Hello Talk, but you know what's funny? I've been off of Hello Talk and I've been more productive.
Oh, definitely. That's good.
There's
Like,
that.
So,
Yeah, there's always
it's,
that.
it's all right. I'm not missing it. I do miss you guys, but I think
People are like,
once a week is fine. Talk to you guys like this or on other platforms.
no, dude. People are like, "Where you been? How?" Like, oh my God, what happened to you? Lunja called me yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, wait, no, was it 3 days ago?" She's like, "Oh my God, I just checking on you. I thought I had like appendicitis or something. My stomach hurts so bad. It's all that damn hot chip, bro. I swear they're killing us with that Red 40. No, I can't stop.
That's why I don't buy that shit, yo. Eat the fresh shit.
Yo,
Oh, you should have been there when Yusuf was around. We were talking about flat Earth. That was
Yeah, what the
was
fuck? That was
something else.
shocking. Dude, I did not expect.
Dude.
I didn't expect him to talk about flat Earth.
I wish you were there. Oh,
I was like, wow. I didn't even know that. He sounds like a learned man. Mario and I, we read books together on his room and shit. He sounds like a very learned man, but I'm shocked that he talked about.
Oh no, he is. But this is something that I couldn't agree with him. I couldn't back him up here. Like, I backed him on a lot of stuff. This is where I was like, dude, you're on your own, bro. I can't do this.
Imagine a disc, right? And it's a sphere as the sky, and at the edges of the disc is a bunch of ice. Is that the perception?
I mean, dude, you're talking to me. I'm loyal to the foil, bro. Like,
let me tell you, okay? Chuck, if the world is not flat, okay, how come when I go on a plane, all I see is flat ground? Why does it not curve?
Oh man, because you're so tiny. You can't. It's all about relativism.
Oh my God. What the hell? Okay.
The Earth is super big compared to us, so it's really easy to be lost in the horizon.
Okay.
It's only the horizon.
NASA's hiding something from us, I think.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will blow their minds that when Einstein says that space is curved, he's actually correct.
Oh my God.
I mean, we don't have the relevancy. We don't have the perspective because we're so minuscule.
I just loved it when Jay said, "What can prove that the world is round to you?"
Yo, like so sincerely, and he's like so concerned. He's like,
yeah, no, he was so serious when he said that. No one was laughing. By the way, no one was laughing. Everybody was serious.
He's like,
look, a really good way, if you have the money, just do what Magellan did. Just go one direction and at a straight latitude, and then if you come back to the same place without going backwards, there's your answer.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, let's just get like a giant ship, like an unsinkable ship, and let's just go past Japan and see what happens.
Go through Japan, okay?
Or you're gonna tell me I'm gonna come across federal agents? They're gonna stop us at in Japan or something?
At the edge of the Earth.
Yeah, at the edge of the Earth.
There's a border, the ultimate border, whatever.
There's gonna be an ice wall, okay? Protected by giants and dragons, okay?
Yeah, there's actually
so you don't really know.
What's the shit in Game of Thrones? The black wall. What the fuck are they called? The guys that protect the wall and shit. That's an actual thing.
White Walkers, dude. White Walkers are real, confirmed. Nah, dude.
Dude,
Cephas was trying to convince some people, like, okay, I'd be like, yeah, flat Earth is real for real, but like, Cephas was going into it. He's like, well, why did P Diddy and like Donald Trump get together and try to like? I was like, what the hell? So, like, you could tell he was trying to think out of his ass, but like, he
this
was
is called
Yeah. No,
smoking.
he's not
This is the
Yusuf.
ganja talking. This is ganja talk. You know what I'm saying? This is
This
it's
is
fun.
Yusuf. He's
It's fun.
yeah.
Yusuf, I'm shocked. When he showed me that recording, I was shocked. I'm like, wow, Yusuf is advocating for flat Earth. All right.
I think I heard
I'm
him
like,
before.
dude, this is like Johnny Bravo. Imagine Yusuf and Johnny Bravo in the same room. Dude, the world would explode.
Dude,
You
he
can't
actually
contain that.
an argument. I can't lie. He said CIA documents were released. Okay, how can I deny that?
CIA documents, eh? Well,
He said he said there were multiple documents confirming
I
the
just-
Earth flat, dude. So like, how can I
Did-
say no?
did he link it to it? Did he link it? I want to read this shit. I want to verify.
You have to do your own research, bud. Like, let's be real. Are you a sheeple?
I mean, look, these are great conversations to have. I'm all about it, but I think it sounds a little. Just get, just substantiate the claims. I'm all, substantiate it. Yeah,
He
there's a
said,
whole JFK.
I
Yeah,
do for you. What can I do for you to prove that the Earth is round?
Yeah, I just couldn't. I had to mute myself. I couldn't. That was like that was probably one of the best moments I've had in Hello Talk. That was
no, those are
pretty
great
incredible.
conversations, man. Those
That
are
was
great
pretty
conversations.
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, didn't Loon just say like, I don't know if the Earth is flat? I'm like, oh, she
Yeah. She was like, not the Earth, please, not the planet, please.
Here we
She's
go
like,
again, type of shit. Yeah.
more important.
Yeah. She was like, not the planet, please. She's like, oh, I'm not sure if the Earth is flat or not. Because she was like, yeah, NASA be lying though about those photos.
Do be lying.
Hey, the dude that popularized or made it viral? This dude live in his mother's basement for real. Like,
And like, how can you trust someone who's made something in a basement or a garage?
I
Like,
mean, there's people that did good shit. I Newton lived by
fuck
himself. He was a
Microsoft.
weirdo. But just substantiate it. That's all I ask for. There's a lot of smart
Loyal
motherfuckers are weird.
Loyal to the foil, bro. Loyal to the foil.
Hey, man. Hey, I like. You know what's funny? You know what I love about this shit? At least they challenge. At least you get challenged.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's
No,
good.
I can't.
Which
I
is
can't
good.
fault them for that. I can't fault for them. That's true. I respect.
Well, that's fine.
them.
I'm all about getting challenged, right? And you can substantiate
Yeah.
your claims. Hey, man, I'm all for it. And these are
What
great
if,
conversations.
I'm wearing like
Yeah.
my Bluetooth headset though with the foil on. Those radio waves. How
Dude, I want to
good.
watch. I want to watch that movie Signs now, dude. Signs.
I mean, there was arguments being made for 5G, 5G cell towers causing turbo cancer, and I was like listening, and I was like, I just wanted to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about that. I remember there was Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking with.
Yeah, there was
another dude.
there was kind of
He was talking about
some
that shit.
concerns about it. Yeah. The one that threw me off was like Yusuf when he's talking about, because I'm never pro-vaccine ever. I never took the vaccine. I turned out fine.
Right.
So I'm even more so anti-vax than I was before.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
Well, I mean,
and then
right.
okay, well,
yeah.
Yusuf was talking about what was it? He was talking about nanobots or something like that being injected into people's arms.
Oh, God.
And he was
Oh,
like, you want to know how he found out? Just he's like, oh, dude, my cousin Jordan, he got like a magnet, and then it was just like his arm was magnetic. He showed it to me.
Just trust me. Source, just trust me.
Trust me, bro.
Bro, all right. I'm already old as fuck. So there was this show back in the day when I was a little kid. I barely remember. It's called The Outer Limits, and there was an episode about that shit. Like there was this guy who was like one of his the scientists, and he and his friend convinced his friend to be a test subject. And said, "Oh look, I made these little nanomachines, and I'll inject it into you, and it will fix your cells." I think he was suffering from some sort of condition, right? So he was desperate, I guess. Oh, that shit was freaky, man. The dude started growing eyeballs in the back of his head. I was like, what the fuck, man? I was a little kid. I was terrified.
You're like, no vaccines for me. But can I be
I'm like,
real?
fuck this
Like,
shit. Yeah.
you guys have had like measles and chickenpox and HPV vaccines, right? At least those.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have chicken. I had chicken. I don't think I got vaccinated for chicken, but I had it naturally. I actually had the pox. I had the fucking. It was
I had
horrible
pox.
for a couple weeks. and then it was gone, right?
That
Yeah, I
shit was
think I think the vaccines are like okay. There's certain times. I think the only one I can think of that is actually very useful was polio. Polio doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there does in certain very small,
Do you know why it doesn't
situations.
exist? I mean, I'm not gonna try to be like a super like hard. Like, do you think that the reason that like a lot of these diseases don't exist anymore is because a lot of people have injected themselves with the immunity to it at a very young age? Or do you
Injected
just
themselves. What do you mean?
yes,
Injected
so
themselves.
injected themselves with like a vaccine, right? Or not injected themselves, okay, they're not taking heroin, but I'm
Oh, yeah,
saying
what the
that
fuck are you talking about? What do you mean?
like, no, I'm saying, vaccines, they have the antibodies in there, right?
Oh, okay,
To
I see. They have existing antibodies to
yeah,
overcome it.
so
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course, of course. But again,
okay.
polio, certain people didn't have it, but at least they used what the fuck was the panacea for it? I forgot the name. It was for polio, but it's gone. Whatever. That was one example. But there's the thing is, I listened to other podcasts right before COVID-19, and they're advocating for how important vaccination is. The race. It's kind of like the nuclear arm race, but not. This is like the bug race, if you will, or the germ race. Got to get
Mhm.
on top of these viruses. I don't know, man. I'm not a biologist or a scientist,
Yeah,
but
I don't give a fuck about like flu shots or anything, like,
yeah, I don't
'cause
take that shit.
they're
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
honestly, I think it's for older people or people that have the
well, like your
immunodeficiencies,
immune, yeah.
maybe. But for most people, I don't think it's necessary. And yeah, I mean, I did hear, and the scary shit is there's people that are young and they just instantly die. You know what I'm saying? But
With
I mean,
like
that's
or the vaccine or
both,
both. Yeah,
both,
like either way,
both,
you're
both
kind of right.
scenarios. Yeah, so it's like I get it's a small population.
Yeah,
Fuck, man,
so
life is not fair, my dears. Life is life is not fair, man. There's always externalities. For the most
yeah.
part, I think most of us are relatively healthy. I I didn't get vaccinated, but I got sick with COVID, and that shit sucked, man.
Oh, it
That was
did
like
for
that
like
was like the worst fucking fever of my life, to be honest. I felt like
I
I was really close to going to the hospital, but I just slept it off. I'd never
hell.
had respiratory problems before, but I was like, dude, why am I wheezing? Am I
Wait,
wheezing
did
right
you
now?
sit up?
The fuck?
Like, okay,
Yeah.
when I was
No,
laying
I
down,
didn't.
fine,
Yeah.
fine. I could just like, but when I sat up,
Yes.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
No,
okay, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, type shit. And I'm like, but when
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like laying down, I'm like, okay, watch YouTube until like this sickness
yeah.
goes away for real. Because I was like bedridden for like 7 days. I think my first time I ever got COVID, and I was just like they're like, get up and come eat, and I'm like, hell nah. I just want to sleep. Like sleep is the best way.
Yeah,
I
shake
don't
it
know
off.
if you're young and healthy, like
Yeah.
just let it
Yeah.
ride, just let it ride. But
Yeah, exactly. I drank a lot of water and oranges. I ate oranges. I just
I
slept.
never lost my smell or taste. Was
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
did
that shit
you?
was horrible, dude. I'm not gonna lie. It took me like a full 14 days to fully recover. But you're right. The first 7 days was hell. But the last 7 days was all right. It got a little
I
bit
think
better.
that
But I just took the 2 weeks off completely. I'm like, I'm not going to work, yo.
yeah, no, and they paid you
Uh,
back then. They're like, hell, like, and I was working
yeah,
at Tesla, so I was like,
me too.
okay,
At the time, yeah, same here.
yeah. So I
So
was like, yo, I got sick. Here's the test. Pay me and whatever. Okay, cool.
when I got back to work, I was kind of like I was fired because I had to do the whole reprocessing shit to
Really?
get yeah, it was crazy because apparently a lot of people were doing it. I was at the Fremont
Like for
factory.
baking, right?
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
probably
but
said, "Oh, yeah."
did you send to like some proof or whatever? I don't know.
Did I have proof that I was
Like,
sick? Yeah, I had the medical proof that I had to go and check in with because I was what's it called, I was in the I'm a veteran, so I just took a little appointment saying that I had the
the illness.
COVID, the vid, so and I had the proof and then
Yeah.
I showed it to the employer.
Yeah, but that should have been enough because I know a lot of people who are like, "Yo, I have vid. I can't, because
Yeah,
they
but
were
I think people use it in excuse to just take 2 weeks
no,
off
of
and
course they were, but
yeah.
like
So
I
maybe that's
had
the reason why they did that.
like, and you had proof, right? So like
Yeah, yeah. That shit was
that's
horrible, dude. Yeah.
no, it was
It
hella
it
bad, dude.
it
I
was
did not
2019. It was bad, dude. It was right before the public knew. Because during I was working at Tesla part time, I worked as a delivery driver at a Chinese restaurant, and that's how I
dude,
got into learning Chinese. And this is back in 2019 November, and this is before people even knew. I think early February 2020, that's when people like
Yeah,
the
that's
news started talking about it. Yeah, so that's how
it's
I got sick. I was
before.
around them Asians, yo.
You got it before because like
Uh,
after it would have been different, but that's
yeah.
crazy. But like I think the issue with the COVID-19 vaccine is that it was like how can I say rushed so much and then pushed on the public like heavily and people were like,
Right.
I ain't taking no damn vaccine. And like all this crap, right? So it's fine, but like I think vaccines in general, like they've been proven to actually prevent infant deaths, child deaths. You know what I mean? Especially if you have like maybe chickenpox isn't a as big of a deal as it was back in the day, right? Especially for people
Well,
with
yeah, yeah.
immune deficiency but like measles is lethal, polio is lethal. You know what I mean? Like when there is vaccines set in place to prevent life-threatening things, and they've been proven to work the majority of the time because there's always going to be like the one-offs, you know. So I'm not against vaccines, but the way that it was so quickly pushed, that's what made a lot of people oh hell no, oh hell no, you need to
Well,
more studies on monkeys please before you
yeah, it was rushed, but at the same time, people took advantage of it. I never heard of Pfizer. Have you heard of Pfizer before 2020? I fucking didn't. And that's when I realized when I was, driving and I listened to the radio, right? And I heard the commercial Pfizer. I'm like, oh, this is some bullshit. I knew from the right when I heard that commercial, I'm like, oh, this is all bullshit. The majority of the commercials on the radio are all fucking bullshit, anyways. Why are they advertising it? Brought to you by Pfizer.
yeah all of a sudden
Moderna.
like
All of a sudden, right?
uh,
Yeah, it was really odd. I'm like, and made me
names
like think really quick. I'm maybe like, wait a minute, something it just doesn't just seem right. So, again, I'm not saying all vaccines are horrible. I mean, what about the influenza? The common cold. Back that was the Spanish flu back in the day, and back then the strain, when it first started, it was a lot of people died, right?
yeah.
A lot of people died.
But
So
that's what
I
I
don't know.
like, maybe I'm trash because I don't get the flu vaccine. Well,
No, I don't either. No, 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 no. I don't either.
I'm safe, bro. Like, I'm like, why would I go get the flu vaccine? It's gonna be tougher and harder every year, but I guess it was especially hard those 2 or 3 years when it kept spreading, right? The Spanish influenza went hard as hell. They're like, "Oh, it, grew immunity and grit." Yeah, okay. If I face it, Imma face it, okay? But if I survive, maybe like
Check this out. Check this out. What about the swine flu? Remember that shit? Just wash your hands. That's all they said. Just wash your hands. Right?
but that's the main
2010.
preventative
Right?
any type of
Yeah.
bacteria or
Yeah.
virus.
But they didn't push for the fucking vaccine back then, didn't they? Oh no. Just wash your. All they said was just wash your hands. I remember this when I was in the military.
Was
Just wash your
there
fucking hands.
what was mortality rate on that though?
I don't know, but people were dying. But maybe it's the same. I don't know. That's a good question. But it was still considered. Maybe the virus is a little different. I don't know. See, I'm not a scientist, but
Me
they
either.
just
Like
said wash your hand. It was a virus going around. It was spreading like that. It was contagious, but they didn't make. I think they made a big deal out of it. I don't know. I'm just saying that was also a virus, and all they said was just wash your hands,
back
cover
then,
your face. That's it. Yeah. So I think honestly, I think this was just the business, man. It's a gimmick, and the other factor to the reason why it started. I'm not buying the fact that COVID-19 started because some dude ate a bat at a fucking wet market. I don't believe that at all. Fuck
like
that.
you believe it
That
was
shit came
all
from a lab. That shit came from a lab in Wuhan. Okay, a lot of people are already inspecting it. The people are just afraid to talk about it on in the social media or on mainstream because unfortunately, it's all about business relationships with China and Israel, whatever the fuck. It
and
came from a
Israel
fucking lab. It came from a lab.
the Jews did it.
No, no, no. It came from China.
You
It
said
wasn't the Jews.
Israel and I was like the Jews. Sorry.
No, no, no. I
No,
mean,
but
also, yeah.
the
I'll be honest. There's a lady. I like her, man. Bless her heart. She's from New Hampshire. She's a Chinese lady. She's running for Congress. Smart day. She's talking shit about China the whole time, which is fantastic. And you're saying how you can't trust China at all. And yeah, like
great
what?
market your
Yeah. So it's the Jews and the Chinese, man. They're infiltrating the United States.
yeah, okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you the stats on this. Okay, so
Yeah.
that swine flu,
Right.
284,000 deaths in 12 months. So the first 12 months of COVID-19 was 2 million. So
God
perhaps
damn. So it's more lethal back. Okay, it was more lethal.
Yeah, but it was
Right.
obviously for the immunodeficient, children, elderly. That's why.
Yeah.
But like for you and I, we were like, come on.
Oh, that's the thing too. The reason other people said it because if you do live with your elders or you're young and you're healthy, it's about the older people, which is understandable. But just quarantine yourself. If you really care about that person, just don't be with them. Just quarantine yourself.
Okay,
Fine.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like I was the one who brought the vid to
You
my
brought the vid to the fam? Oh,
I
fair
brought
enough.
it to my fam. Oh my god. I should just end it here.
Because
Seppuku.
luckily at the time I was living by myself, so I don't have that problem. So
But
and my family members and they're like, "Hey, want to come over?" I'm like, I'm gonna cancel. I gotta cancel Christmas. Yo, I'm not gonna pass the vid. So
I didn't leave my house. I didn't leave my room except to use the bathroom. I washed my hands and everything. But I guess like me breathing type like
yeah, that
was
shit was
enough
horrible.
to
Now,
give
now,
to
now I
everyone.
feel now I know how it is to have asthma. Fuck that disease.
I was
Right?
like, yeah. So
It's
me
horrible, dude.
heaving
Fuck that.
and whatever down the hallway,
Yeah.
that was enough to give it to them. So I think
Makes you
so, like
think twice for smoking now, right? Yeah.
whatever, bro. Come on.
Oh, my bad. I don't know. You smoke? I'm not talking shit about you. You smoke? Like, what the fuck you smoke? You smoke fucking Newports and shit? What's going on?
My god, did Patty tell you?
Yeah, what's a chick smoke? I just guessed.
Chicks smoke? No, I don't smoke Newports, but I did smoke
Marbles?
Marlboro these
Some
back in the
lights?
day. Right now,
Yeah.
I do vapes because it don't give you that stench. So,
All vapes,
um,
huh? All right.
yeah, I
The
really need
fruity
it.
shit? You got the fruit one? The fruity?
It's the cola one. Thank you a lot. It's the sody
I don't
pop.
fuck. I don't. Oh
Anyways,
God, Jesus Christ.
it doesn't matter. It was just something to curb the like because during
Mm.
COVID, it passed that law where you couldn't buy cigarettes anymore after or any tobacco products after the age of 21. So I went to 7-Eleven and I was like, Abhishek, hook me up. You know me, the day after they passed the law to be 21 and I was 20. And I was like, Abhishek, you know me, bro. Give me. And he's like, no, you're not 21. And I was like, how come? I hate this country, all right? Federally, it's illegal to
Hey,
buy
but
marijuana.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. You want a pro
Federally, it's illegal to
regulation? What's wrong
buy.
with that?
Federally, it's illegal
Nah,
to
you don't
marijuana.
like it if it doesn't favor you. Regulation is not beneficial, huh? Okay. I'm giving you
That's
shit. I'm
funny
fucking
though.
around. I'm giving
That's
you shit.
funny though, because it's like, oh, how come all of a sudden marijuana is still legal everywhere? Okay. But
You have to be
statewide, like
21 though.
you have to be 21 to buy from a dispensary, but that doesn't matter. It's like in other states you can't even like purchase it. You know what I mean? This is the thing. I'm like, so now you guys want to follow the rules. Now you guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well that it's just business. It's just like the state makes
It's
money.
just
So
business. The
no,
fucking
the state does make money off of it because they do tax the fuck out of it. So yeah, it's a fucking mess, dude. It's a fucking mess. I think the other previous episode talking about how San Francisco the way it is with the homelessness and the drug use. It's a fucking loop of disaster because people like the politicians are pro helping them out, helping out drug people from get off of heroin and shit, which is a horrible freaking addiction. And yeah, I get what they're trying to do. Like in theory, to siphon
and
off, heroin use because they try to use the same model like they did in Amsterdam, a socialist country. And apparently it does work in Amsterdam to an extent. But unfortunately, United States, there's a lot of illegal drugs being sold. So there's a lot of halfway houses within the city. That's the reason why it's an endless cycle of retardedness. Because what it did was that the local government gave a stipend to homeless people, I guess like $1,000 something, and majority of them use it for buying drugs because they sell it on the street illegally. Duh.
why would they sell it if they're drug addicts? I'm gonna be real with you, but I understand where you're coming from. The only thing is, with the people who are
No, not the
real,
drug addicts are selling it. The people that know there's drug addicts are selling it to them.
they're
The halfway
homeless as well.
houses. I don't know. Believe maybe some are. Who knows?
No, no, no. But this is super funny to me because the chief LA department head, I think this was a year and a half ago. I can send you the article. And it's so goofy, right? She was in a sting operation and they found out she was getting sent literal boatloads, cargo sent across the sea from China with her Chinese conformidant of fentanyl and they're like,
God.
"Oh, there's fentanyl coming from Mexico when it's coming through the goddamn ports." And I was
Yeah,
like, this
yeah.
white ass little lady, okay, being the biggest like drug lord as we know it right
Hey,
now.
man. Hey, there gotta be a Scarface part 2. Instead of the yayo, it could be the fentanyl, you know what I'm saying? It's business, man. That's why those movies like The American Gangster is dope, Scarface is dope. Now they're gonna make a new one, Scarface 2, China style. How to get ship from China go to the Mexican border. That'd be a great movie, man. I'll watch it. Shit.
I don't know. I understand. Okay. I don't know. I think
It's
I've told you a bit about my flights, my own things that I've gone through. Okay. I know a little bit, not on the harder side of addiction. Like, because I'm gonna be real, there's levels. Because anything that's like holding you by a noose to survive, like so literal alcohol dependency.
yeah,
Uh,
these are vices. They're vices that are holding you back. Yeah, I got you. Everybody has their vices. Right. Yeah.
I'm talking
Here's the
about like
thing. Here's
so
uh-huh.
much. If you do so much, I think I told you about this. It's like
Yeah.
it wet brain syndrome. If you've been an alcoholic all your life and then you try to stop suddenly and your brain is not used to it, you will cease to function. This is like what I'm talking about. These
Oh, I
type of
got what you're
addicts.
saying.
These
Your
I'm
your
I'm
neural
I
your neural pathways are so trained into that direction.
actual physiology fucked up to the point where
Yeah.
you can't exist without the drug.
Yeah,
I
it's tough.
am
I got you.
I'm
Yeah, it's
not
tough.
I've never been in a position where it's been like that, you know?
Yeah, these are
Uh,
behaviors. These are behaviors you have to get
not
changed, but
like
I got you.
not
Uh,
that like okay, so this is the thing is I did some drugs, okay, that were stupid and like but I didn't have withdrawals or to the point where I didn't have seizures without that.
You're
And
lucky. You're
this is
lucky you didn't get
the
into that.
this is the issue though, is like it is their own fault because they continue to use said drug or said vice for so long that their body became completely dependent on it and they cannot rely without it. So it is their
Um,
own, but to that extent is they do need medical treatment if they do want to come off of it. But if you're like the point where you're fucked, like with wet brain syndrome, like if you stop drinking, you like okay, these people can function with alcohol, okay? They can talk and have a normal conversation, but as soon as they go sober, they stop having alcohol. They start having seizures. They cannot speak. Like this is the terrible, disgusting, and there's many disgusting sides of drug addiction, but these are like the horrific sides of it, right? To the point where it's like these people literally need medical attention while they're getting clean. Is like me on the other hand, I can get clean off of sheer will, you know? These people will literally die if they don't. So that's a
one of
huge
those
issue.
what are those centers called? Like detox centers and shit? Are those even helpful? Or they're
Mm,
not helpful?
For me, I've never been to one. Detox
No,
centers literally
yeah,
prevent you
detox
from
centers.
dying. But they're usually just inside of behavioral centers like psych wards and stuff like that.
Oh,
Like I
for the
think
crazies? Okay.
what?
Have you seen, I know, I'm old school, I know. I'm old school.
For the
Have you seen that you remind me of that movie, have you ever seen Sling Blade?
uh-uh.
Check it out, Sling Blade. It's a Billy Bob Thornton movie. They got him that's what they got him famous, actually, Sling Blade. I just thought I don't know, just movie popped in my head.
No. I'm sorry. I understand, okay? There's a lot of how can I say a lot of rhetoric and disgust with drug addicts, okay? And like someone in my position, you can completely like huck Tua in my face and be like, "Huh, you're scum if I end up on the streets and, disregard everything in my life, okay?"
The Grouch of society? Okay.
Yeah, the scum, the bane of existence.
Get
Yeah,
it together, Grouch, step over them.
yeah, so for someone like me, I can understand if like I fall off and that's me, okay? You can spit on me. I'll give you the opportunity to spit on me. It's fine.
I will never
But
do that. But remind me of there's a Dave Chappelle bit where he's like, you know what I noticed living in Ohio? There's a lot of poor whites and they're on heroin. Just say no. Ha ha, motherfuckers. Ain't that easy, is it?
I'm just saying. But no, I'm just kidding. Like it
Like a
it's
good joke. God damn. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get you. Once you're in
like
that path, you're in that well, it's hard to get out. I hear you.
Like if it's
I know
literally
that.
the point where you gotta see someone so you don't have seizures when you have to like okay, say you're refined one day, okay? Like because I'm gonna be real, you can't make an adequate unless they want to, right? Unless they genuinely want
Yeah, it's up to them. You can't. Yeah,
right.
it's up to them.
But if they do want to, right? And they try to get clean and they end up having fatal consequences because they're getting clean because of so many years of substance abuse. That's heartbreaking.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, if they find, I know it's not going to be a complete substitution, but I think you mentioned it before. You have to find something in your life that's worth living. I think you mentioned that before. That's true. You have to surround yourself with a place where it gets you out of that mold. I think a lot of people get stuck into that behavior because, again, they don't have anything in their life that's worth living for, which is fucking sad. But people have to find something to live for.
No one's gonna
It's
give you the
healthy
ability.
or unhealthy, you know what I'm saying? That's a
Yeah,
big the
no one's gonna
reason
give
and by the way, when you get into that habit, you keep doing it because there's something subliminally inside that's you're lacking, right? So you go to that behavior. Doesn't
yeah,
matter. Could be
it's
drugs, could be work, could be, fucking
women.
porn, could be too much sports, could be working out too much. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Find something
It is you
cope
gotta find something. Yeah.
but that's not the ideal thing. But like if they want to get clean, right? Like I'm not saying people who lack the willpower, like and they just fall back into it. No, I'm talking about people who are gonna get clean. They decide to do it by themselves. Not the stuff I was doing because that stuff is more actual psychological warfare than physiological warfare. Okay, because my body doesn't need a stimulant to survive, right? But if you do so much depressants, your body starts it gets so fucking used to it that you'll be dependent on it and you won't function without it. These people that try to get clean by themselves, right? And then end up dying because they have a seizure because they're not doing it anymore. You know what I mean?
I gotta look into that, how common that is. Yeah, it's kinda crazy.
It's pretty
Yeah.
common for people who have used for a long time. And if we're looking at the
We're
people who
talking
are
20 years? Like 20, 30 years of this or what?
I'm
I mean, how
thinking
long?
maybe even less, like maybe 3 years of consistent use of, like, let's say something so, like,
Drinking
hard,
every day for 3 years
like
straight?
heroin.
Okay.
Like, if we're doing heroin,
Mhm.
drinking every day, drinking bottles on bottles every day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
For years.
Chain
Like,
smokers? Mhm.
no, like, cause smoking cigarettes is a stim.
You don't know any chain smokers? No? Okay.
Chain smokers? Not now. Everybody vapes, so I guess everybody's a chain smoker,
So
huh?
they're all chain smoking? Alright, fair enough. They're constantly smoking? Like, when you have a vape, do you smoke throughout the entire
That's even
day? You're always
worse.
it like, every 5 minutes? It's kinda like sipping water, but instead of sipping water, you take a puff?
You're just
Is
vaping.
that throughout the whole day? Damn, dude, that's a
No,
vice,
I
man.
see hella people like that, and I was so
Throughout the
down
whole fucking day,
I
it's
was
always right next to them.
down bad at work that I would
Yeah, it's
vape
tough.
on the line, dude, and I was like, "Dude, I need to chill." Like,
You
what the
really?
hell?
Vaping on the line? Shit. Oh, you were not I forget you were in the Fremont place.
Uh,
Okay, man.
Reno.
Yeah. I remember one time there's a dude some dudes got, like 6 of them got fired because they were, like, in this break room and somebody busted out a bomb.
Dude, I saw this dude drop, LSD, acid drops into his eyes on the line,
Oh,
and
that's stupid. Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, yo!" Right in front of the Fana camera too. I was like,
Yeah, there's cameras everywhere. I'm shocked they
"Wait,
actually did
wait."
that. Yeah.
And oh my god, I remember one time I was working with this old lady. I think I told you, old lady come back from break. They're like, "Where's she at?" And I was like, "I don't know." Next break, I go downstairs, like the fuck hella flights of stairs, 3 flights of stairs, and try to have a cigarette. And I was like 18 at the time. I look over next to me, the bitch was there with a needle in her arm. I was like, "Holy god
Yeah,
damn."
dude, yeah. There was one incident where, like, 6 people on the line that I knew, because I wasn't working on the line, I was logistics. I was the dude in charge of, like, having all the parts ready for the people on the line. So, we were just part of the logistics team, so I was using a forklift throughout the whole 12-hour shift, which I did miss, actually. That was a fun job, using the forklift. Being on the
Yes,
line, I'm sorry, man, I would've hated that job. The
dude.
forklift job wasn't that bad, but the thing is, where are the dudes in the line? Like, because you know them for a while. I mean, you're around with them. You're with them for
Oh,
12 hours a day and shit.
dude.
Then they disappeared and shit. I found out. Oh yeah, they're all drunk.
Yeah, Jim
Oh
was
no. Yeah, they're
okay.
like a drunk on the line. I'm like, fuck, dude. Yeah.
Nah,
So,
like material handling always seems so sick, and then they always had their fucking speakers blasting, bro. I was
yep,
like,
yep, yep,
bro,
yep. That was a
nobody
great
ever
job.
wanted to teach
Yeah.
me material. Okay, but the thing is like at
Uh,
least with me working on the line, okay, I was like, I'm sick of it. Like I've been everywhere on the line, and I was working the most manual line in Reno, like the most hands-on work. So I was like, okay, I got good at this, like good at that, and then eventually you became a quote unquote watcher, whatever. You just recovered machinery, and that shit. You know, at 19, that shit made me feel so authoritative. I was like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
you
I
get the
know.
power trip.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got the power trip. Yeah, for sure.
The you know
And
okay.
then
I don't want to. I don't want to offend you. I don't want to offend you, but
don't want
I
to.
mean, here's the thing. The first, and this is a shocker to me, and then it comes to because I before that I had my own business. Okay, so because I had to work there because I lost my business, I had to recover, so I had to find a fucking actual job. The
Mhm.
the thing is that I didn't realize how much shit has changed. Okay, all right, be honest. What I mean by this, I'll give you an example. The first day on the job, right? Not it was the lead, not the manager, the lead. I was on my forklift, and it was during a little bit of downtime, and then my he goes, "Hey man, I'll be honest with you. You see all those chicks on the line?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're all sluts." What the fuck?
No, it's real. No, I also heard
No,
that
I
shit.
know, I know, I know. And then around I realized, oh, it's that easy. Okay, I just gotta talk to
No,
him a little bit, and you get some action. You get some action. It was fucking easy, but it was shocking to me. I didn't even expect that, but then it made sense
I
after a
would never
while.
expect that. This is like how men
I
view
thought, I
women.
thought, I thought, I thought this was only in the military, but this happens everywhere apparently.
Dude, what the hell? Like, okay, even me, like stepping up to go to school because I was the only female
Yeah,
in my class of 8 in trade school,
yeah.
right? And like I was the only female for the last 2.5 years or something. And I was
Uh,
like, oh, sick. You know, and like I kind of had to get used to that. Band
yeah.
like
So I
and
just
it's not
realized.
a thing.
Look,
Like,
I just realized a lot of those women were not girlfriend or wife. Like I will never take them seriously, man. Wild shit has happened in that company, man.
dude, I'm gonna be real
Fuck
with
that,
you.
dude. Fuck
I'm
that.
gonna be real with you. Like, we took a
Uh,
look at the statistics, and it was like the most adulterous partners reside in the medical field. So
oh, that's fact. That's a fact.
yeah,
Nurses, yeah, that's true.
take that
Yes, yes.
with what you will. You know what I
No,
mean?
that's true. That's true.
I'm just gonna say that no matter where you
Uh,
go, people are gonna be crap anywhere. But like people love to say, "Oh, they're a hoe." They're what I got a lot actually, which I'm not proud of. Okay, was that she's a fucking drunk. Okay, um, that's not good, right? So I got demoted to drunk rank instead of hoe rank. Okay,
well, what the fuck? Wait, well, what? That's like a nickname for it. What do you mean?
like, no, no, no. Instead of being called a hoe, I was just called the drunk because I would kind of like miss work. But
Jesus Christ, man.
like I would be on my last wit's end, and then they'd be like, "This is your final. Get my shit together," and then start doing. Yeah, hella bad. But I was like 19. Okay, and I'm not giving myself an excuse, but and this is the
See,
thing though.
no, no. This is why we're never. Look, man. I'm not a father, but now what, dude? Having a daughter or a son, man, it'll be I'll be terrified to have a kid in that.
Oh,
I
what's
don't know.
more
Terrifying,
terrifying?
California. What was that?
Or what's more terrifying, a drug addict or a whore or a fag?
It's all bad, bro. Well, I mean, at least if they're gay, I mean, they're ruining their life completely. It's gonna suck, you know. It's all bad. But if you're really trying to have a good life, if you're gay, that's out of your control, right? But when it comes to like substance abuse and your decisions and that's in your control, then yeah, I'll be fucking disappointed. I'll be definitely disappointed. And
I
look, here's
mean,
the thing too. And here's the thing too. I'll be straight up. Oh, I don't think men and women should work together. I really don't.
maybe.
Yeah, because it creates a lot of
Yeah.
problems, as you noticed. I look, being in the military, fuck, I think like 80% of the women there are sluts, straight up. You know how many dude, you know how many women I had to turn down because I know their husbands? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm not tempted by that.
Hey, Chuck, can you come over? I need you to help me with my computer problems. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna do that. I know what you're trying to do, lady. I know you're fucking hot, but I'm not gonna do it because I know I have respect for your fucking husband. He's fucking
Dude,
Were
slut.
these women
so
So
like
like
Nick,
cook industry? They doing logistics or like, yeah, I can't work this fucking computer. Can you come help me out? Or maybe I don't know what part of the military you were in, Chuck, but like,
I was
were you
IT.
just
I did IT.
I know, but like
I
the base army, like,
no, no. I
because
was Air Force. I was Air Force. I was active duty, so I was stationed overseas. Yeah.
that's crazy. These women cooks or some shit.
No, there's a lot of wives that live. So if you live overseas, right, and you're married, and a lot of women are in the military as well. They have
Yeah,
different jobs, man. There's services, there's logistics, there's all types of jobs within the military, like in like civilian world, same shit. The thing about the military, you have to take an ASVAB, right? And if
yeah.
you
I
have a
was a
certain score, then you can pick whatever job you want. Oh, it
okay.
depends on what score you have, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I was
There's a
gonna
lot like
take.
supply, like logistics is common, supply is common, personnel. These are all chick jobs, by the way. Supply, personnel,
Oh, I was trying
medical,
to get
dentist, nurse, da.
because I was like, maybe I should just go into the Navy. Because I mean,
You
I already
should.
have an electronic background, right? But
You
like,
should.
Patty was trying to help me out, but then he saw my fucking medical record and he's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Can you?" He's like, "Was this just a therapist who diagnosed you with this?" I was like, "No, he was a psychiatrist. He was a psychiatrist."
Yeah. See, that's where you shot yourself on the foot. Now when they track your record, you're like, oh no, this person's not gonna.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's like, "Can you
Yeah.
have to leave it off?" I'm like, as soon as I get some insurance, I might go be like, "Yo, what's good? Can I have that shit erased?" But I guess the
You want to
agoraphobic.
join the Navy? I mean, Air Force is the way to go, man. It's the easiest. But it depends on how you score on the ASVAB. I think you're a smart
I
kid.
have I have
So
more
take the
background in like electronics and like
Yeah, I mean,
radio.
I mean, if you
and
if you want to be in a vessel with a lot of dudes, I mean, hey,
I'm not really trying to. I'm trying to actually work remote. Do you think the Navy would accommodate?
well, it depends on what job you have. Depends the job you have. But I'll be honest with you, if dude, if my daughter joined the Navy, I mean, I'll be fucking terrified in any branch. But the
I thought
Navy though, and you're in the vessel, fuck. What's that?
the Navy was gay.
It is.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
but
they like
but there's a lot of guys but majority of the guys aren't gay though.
really? Because I thought they all like to fuck butts, so I thought it was safe.
They all
Well, I
take
mean, it's
showers together.
I mean, they're prisoners and shit. I mean, prisoners do that. There's bull queers, but they still like women.
Mm,
So, fucking animals,
yeah.
man.
No, I'm just trying to work on electronic circuitry boards and stuff.
You want
If
to
I
be
home,
what's that called? There's a rank that you're not an enlisted man. You're some sort of officer. I forgot the name of it. It's like you're not really a full bird officer. You're not enlisted, but you're like a specialist within the Navy. Those are the cool people because the only thing you do is just focus on your specialty,
was
like your
trying to get
electrician
in
and
as
shit.
a ET, but
Yeah.
like because of my medical background,
Wow.
it's a little bit difficult right now.
I'll
Yeah.
be honest, man. If I have a daughter, I'll be like, yo, you're not gonna work. I'm gonna force you to get married at your 20s. Yeah, I'm gonna find you a good husband. That's what
I
I would
mean,
do. But I know I sound like an asshole for saying that, but just to
no,
protect her
no.
and for her to have a good future and have good family, I would force her not to go to work.
Okay, but what if he beat her? Like, would you do something
I'm not
about
gonna
it?
beat
Go
her. Beat her. The
would
fuck?
I said if he beat her, would you go beat him to show him his place?
Beat my son-in-law?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will not let, first of all, I will not
Like we wouldn't want that,
let
but like if it
I
happened,
will not let my see. I gotta be that
you say
you
I
gotta be
wouldn't let it
before he gets
happen.
married.
No.
They get married, I'll be very careful to show signs of an abusive husband. It's pretty
Yeah, but
easy
you
to
can't
fire from
show
that.
signs of an abusive
Yes, you
partner.
can. Yes,
Yes,
you can.
you can, but what if they don't? Because like I'm gonna
Then
be
it's my
real.
fault as a father.
The sweetest girls turn out to be the most fucking crazy bitches who try to stab their husbands and like take away. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Those are the women that don't understand reality and how men work, and that's the problem with. That's why men usually fathers have to be honest with their sons and daughters, and the
yeah,
mothers. The parents have to be honest with their kids when it comes to sex. And unfortunately, what's happening in the United States, which I you probably will disagree because people say no, sex education is good. I don't think it's that necessary. I think it's up to the family to properly educate their kids about what sex is and how to
yeah,
manage your
actually,
life properly, right? How to be a
people,
good husband, how to be a good wife. But unfortunately now it's like, nope, liberalism he's here to stay.
not
Fuck,
even
fuck what
that.
parents say. Parents don't know shit, right? And then have the
Really,
school teach you, right?
though.
That's the danger.
But that's the issue is that okay, if they lack
Uh,
sex ed and they lack that kind of knowledge of like how you get
Yeah.
pregnant, okay? And your parents don't want to talk about it because they feel the ick, okay?
It's mainly the problem, the parents' fault. The parents
That's
have
the
to be honest.
issue. It's like your
Yes.
parents need to be parents and be
Right.
parents and
Right.
tell you, like, do not do said act unless you are ready to face consequences.
Or let
Like,
me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you have a daughter or a son, would you be strict as fuck?
strict as fuck in what sense, though?
Like, as far as like when it comes to finding a not let your daughter to be a whore or your son to be stupid and impregnate a chick at a young age, would you be worried about that shit? Or you like,
I'd be
nah, let 'em
worried, but that doesn't mean I'd be like, okay, my approach, yo, you seen my hair, right? You seen my,
no.
okay. Anyways, I'm pretty sure everyone has, and
What's your
everyone's
well you are you the
there's
pink purple hair pink purple hair type of chick? You dye
not
your hair?
painful, but it's
Well you
green.
dye your hair. You dye your hair. Alright.
Yeah, okay.
Fair
Raised
enough.
Jehovah Witness,
You ever
and
raised Jehovah's Witness? Oh god.
anyways, that type of lifestyle really pushed me to some things that were
You went on the deep end, huh? You went, "Fuck this."
the only one to go off the deep end, off out of the
Nah, you're not the only one, yo. I bet
no,
there's a lot of stories.
out of the 6 kids, okay? Because they were ruled by fear, but I was like, "Hey, yo, I don't care about my life. Do what you want," right?
Yeah,
So, at
I
that
see.
point, it was, I don't want my kids to feel like that, right? So, to some e I this is maybe naivety to some extent, but I'd be like, "Hey, yo, if you're drunk, you fucking call me, okay? I'm not gonna be here busting your fucking balls." Like, I'm not gonna fucking also encourage it and be like, "Yeah, sick, go to more party." No, there's
Yeah,
obviously
there's a
going
balance. You wanna have a balance of it. You don't wanna
but
overdo it.
I'm not going
I
like,
follow. No, you're right.
I'm not gonna go through their entire social media. I'm not going to deny them any type of social contact with
What age
anybody.
would you let them use social media?
Social media usage
Yeah.
f
What age would you allow them to start using it?
with supervision, maybe perhaps 10 or 11, honestly. That's when I hopped
That's
on, but I had no supervision,
that's too early.
until they started invading, my like, but the thing is I never had supervision until, like, all of a sudden they started hopping it like, you know what I mean? So there is a balance, okay? So it's like I have to be able to view what you're seeing. After the age of, like, 13 or 14, I would start giving you more privacy. I'm not gonna go looking through your messages and things like that. Obviously, when you're 12, 11, 10, I'm not going to, like, sit here and let you message, quote, unquote, like, on Roblox and stuff. I'm not gonna let you do that with people, random, unless, like, I see it, okay? It's just simply I think me and you grew up in a little bit of different situations is because all I had was the computer, right? And I don't want them to only have the computer. That I don't want to be a quote unquote friend, but like I need them to be able to have some
Wait a minute, you
confidentiality.
just had wait a minute. You just had
Like
your computer, you didn't have a social life, you didn't have friends outside the house? Is that what you mean? You
I couldn't because they weren't Jehovah Witnesses. So
Oh, yeah, fair enough. That sucks. See, that's extreme, and that's unfortunate to hear.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think kids need to be outside. Fuck being inside. Outside.
yeah, but I'm also
That
not gonna negate the fact that, like, okay, say 5 years from now, I have a kid, okay? 5 years from now, I have a kid, and then in 15
Yeah.
years, they grow to be 10 years old, right? And at 10 years old, do you think that the entire, like, internet platform, the way we know it now, would not have changed? I really do believe it's only going to continue,
no,
changing.
I follow. It's a challenge. It's a
Yeah.
big challenge,
So,
yeah.
like, when I say that, it sounds like I'm being extreme, but, like, I'm trying to
No,
be
no, no, no. I understand your concern. I do understand your concern.
but
We have to have more conversations about it, and what kind of future we want to build, and we got to continue to have these conversations. And the fact that we're recording this, what time is it, by the way? Holy shit, it's been 2 hours. You guys want to continue this or not? It's been 2 hours, but next time, maybe we should stop it here because I think we're averaging 2 hours worth of recording. Well, we could continue it next time about like should we regulate these type
yeah,
of things
we'll
for
do it right.
children? You know what I'm saying? I'll write it down in the group chat. That'd be a good topic. Should we treat like social media as we treat people smoking, drinking at the what age should they start using it type of shit?
A1
So
is
we could do
crazy.
that. Well, so I know I don't think it's gonna work because kids are kids. I know. I was a kid. I
And
respect the
parents are
rules as
parents.
well. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'll stop it here. I think Macau is had his breakfast throughout this whole time. Did you eat your breakfast, sir?
I had ice cream and a
You
sandwich.
fucker.
I
Coke
mean,
Zero.
adult.
You said it was super cheap though, right? You fucker. You saved money
It's
there.
pretty cheap, man. It's pretty cheap. I don't pay much, man.
Did
I
you go
paid
to
like
the same? Did you go to the same place that the hot chick was there? At the
all
ice
the
cream
ice
parlor?
cream? No, not today,
You,
man. Not
you haven't
today. I
seen
have
her?
to walk a little
Okay.
bit. I have to walk a little bit farther out. I could go tonight.
There
How
you
about
go. Yeah.
what kind of ice cream though?
The ice cream flavors here are pretty basic. It doesn't go really far beyond vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate, to be honest.
And chocolate
But
is
it's
Nice.
second.
good. It's good.
No, that's cool. Were
Speaking
you
about
too
ice
shy?
cream. Sorry?
What
He's too
about ice
shy.
cream?
Shy about what?
Shy about going to see that girl.
Oh, I don't really care that much. It was just more of a shock type of thing that happened to me.
You're
You
like, oh,
know? Because
girl,
I
worth
was well, what the funny thing it was like this guy from like Tajikistan that owned like the ice cream shop, I guess, or he's working there. And so I'm looking at my phone, I'm multitasking, I'm looking down, and I thought it was gonna be like this Tajik guy that's gonna be serving me the ice cream. It's working at the front counter. I'm looking down at the phone, I look up and then it's like this uber attractive girl that's like, asking me a question like, what do I want? And I was like, my brain like disconnected for like 2 seconds and I couldn't really think. So I don't remember what I did. I think I eventually was able to kind of come to my senses what I wanted and I just ordered and I just left, But it was more of a shock thing. Like if I did see her prior and I wasn't like distracted, I think I would have thought to
That I
myself,
would-
yeah, she's really attractive. You know what I mean? But I think that being caught off guard just added to like the shock. It
That's
added
dope.
to the
Yeah.
shock.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
it added to the. It was like something. Yeah,
Wait, hold on a second. You said she was a brunette with green eyes?
yeah,
Fuck, bro. God damn.
yeah, dude.
I understand. I understand.
At the struggle.
Yeah.
I understand. No contact lenses, right? Yeah.
Nope, nope.
None of that fake bullshit.
You can
All right.
tell. You can tell. I mean, you can usually
Yeah,
tell.
I know. I'm
You
joking.
usually-
I'm being an asshole right now.
yeah, yeah. You can usually tell. Yeah.
Hey, Nayeli, do you use contact lenses too with your dyed hair?
You know why? Yeah,
you do,
because
don't you,
insurance
fucker?
paid for it. Dude, okay, because like at Tesla, I had such great insurance that
Oh God.
yo, okay, they paid up to 300. I was like, yeah, give me the colored contacts. I ain't gonna get your
Fuck
bullshit
yeah.
contacts.
What color did you get? You fucking cheater. What'd you get?
Cheater? Why am I cheating? What am I cheating in?
You're fake. Well, what is it? Was it green, blue? What color?
It's gray, but
Gray
cheating
eyes.
is
Okay.
crazy.
Well, you're lying. It's a lie. You're a
That's
complete
only
lie.
lying if I wear them.
Complete lie. What's
Nah,
wrong with natural shit?
The thing,
What's
like,
wrong with
okay, the
natural
thing
shit?
is like I thought I was ugly for the longest time, and I was like, oh, bruh, hell nah, braces, all this, big ass eyebrows, bushy ass arms, insecure as hell, right? Gorilla looking.
You are Latina for sure. Okay.
Yeah, for real. And so I was like, damn, okay, I don't like myself. And then I got my braces off, and then I just was shaving for years, and then it stopped growing in as thick on my
And
arms.
so what? Okay, so I heard wax is not the way to go. It's horrible. So shaving is safer.
I mean, like I did it personally since I was like 12 because I remember being on the soccer team and coming home from a game and all the guys be oh, gorilla arms, gorilla arms. Your
Dude,
arms are
How
so
much is that LASIK? How much is that laser surgery shit?
You
The
think I
laser.
would have, dude? I have no idea. I spend my money on video games like a degenerate.
Oh, you could have saved up to get the laser, yo. I knew this chick in the Air Force I was messing with. I was like, man, you're very shaved. She goes, I got the laser done. I'm like, oh, that's great.
Well,
So
okay,
she's smart. She saved up enough money to get the laser done. So
she's smart. Okay, but what benefit would that gain me though? Like for real, it's like I'm gonna find someone who is so
It's-
fanatic about no hair, and
it's
they'll
more
pay.
aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, men are. I mean, you get better. You get better choices. You get more opportunity.
Oh, what?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, men are dogs. I mean, we like the first. I mean, men and women judge, right?
bro.
I'm just saying.
date-
You get more opportunity. I just
If
fact.
I have a date, I'll groom. Okay, but I haven't in a long time because I just didn't think I was ready. Like, okay, right after my first breakup, I was my last breakup, I thought I was ready to date, and I wasn't, and every dude was just kind of like a little bit too pushy for me. And then I was like, maybe I should get over this dude before I date. And then it took 4 years to get over it. And then I
Wait a
liked,
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Between there's 4 years, you were celibate.
yeah, actually,
That
unless you count it
yeah.
with him,
And
unless
I'm a billionaire. I'm a billionaire. Yeah, I don't believe
no,
you.
no, no,
Jesus.
actually, genuinely,
What the hell?
that I didn't have
Mhm.
sex for 3.5 years, and
Okay, so yeah, I'm assuming you had toys.
I actually was so depressed that I didn't get horny.
Dude, get the fuck out
This
of
is
here. I
so
don't
no,
believe
no,
you.
no. This is so sad. I was so
Mother
depressed I
Teresa
didn't
here.
no, I was so
Mother
depressed I
Teresa.
didn't get horny for like 2.5 years.
Yo,
And I met this dude from the Netherlands. Okay, okay, on
after
hell.
4 years or during after 4 years?
After like 3.5 years after like I last had relations with my ex, and then he got married on me. For real? Imagine that.
So you were celibate. I don't believe you. I agree with
No,
you.
I am. And it's kind of fucking
Sorry.
sad because like everybody's like, "Yo, you know what'll make you get over everything?" Like especially because of the Netherlands dude. They're like, "You just need to get laid. You just need to get laid." But the thing is like I don't know if dudes feel any of the same sentiment, but it's like sex is not pleasurable unless you like someone. For
Well, I mean,
me,
it's kind of true for women. Sex is like cherry on top. It's not the main course. Men, it's the main course. So I get that.
like
I
so I haven't found
Yeah.
anybody I liked in
But I
person.
still, I don't know. Yeah, you're trying to convince me that you're like a
I'm
unicorn in
not
the
trying to
United States. You're like a unicorn. Well, what you're describing to me is a fucking unicorn.
No,
That's what you
I
do.
think it's like I'm gonna tell you, it's after like years of yeah, I told you, grew up Jehovah Witness, fucked around, and then you find out you don't like sex unless you are with someone you like. Then it's just like, why would I waste my time? You know what I mean? That's why. It's because
And you
it's
worked
like
at when you were working at Tesla, were you still with the guy or you're broken up at the time?
he was the maintenance technician.
Okay, so we were
Uh
with him at the time. All right.
Yeah, back then. This most
Okay.
recent I was so afraid to run into him because he became the engineering area manager of batteries. So I was like, oh fuck, I hope I never see him. But yeah,
Celibate for 4 years, eh? All right. Sure.
not 3.5. I mean, I fucked
Oh,
him.
three,
I
three
thought
and a half.
I thought
Okay.
he wanted me back, but no. He got married like 2 months later. I got fucked.
Yeah, that figuratively and literally, right? So that's the thing. The thing
No,
is,
I
that's
mean,
why I'll be honest. I think let's be honest. I think most
I
women
think like
need their
women.
fathers and older brothers, man. They really do for making bad mistakes, for choosing the right dude.
Really?
They
I
really,
mean, I guess, like,
yeah.
there's, like I have 2 older brothers and a father, right?
But
It's
do you
like I
really trust them with that shit, though? You don't trust them with that shit, do you?
what do you mean trust them with that shit?
You know what I'm saying? Like, because you have to have some sort of connection with them. There's people that are distant from each other with that type of thing.
I've told my okay, one of my older brothers is very understanding, very different, and then one of my other ones is he hooked me up with my first ex who cheated on me, who did who pushed me down the stairs, shit like that, and
He
then
pushed you when he was abusive?
uh, my first ex, yeah, he pushed me down the stairs.
Did you wait, he hooked so he just so your brother
Like,
knew this dude, or were they friends, or he just knew the
he
dude?
was his best friend, and then I went to the gym, and
Oh,
then
man, that's horrible.
mhm, yeah, but he
Ah,
that they,
bad judge of character, brother.
yeah, they
That's
go in,
fucked up.
like, packs, right? So, that's when I realized that, like, my bro wasn't that good, right?
Yeah, that's
Because, you
fucked
know
up. That's fucked up. If the brother did really cared about you, would never hook you up with
yeah,
that friend of his. That's
I don't
fucked
know
up.
about it, and he didn't do anything, so
So he was abusive. Are you sure it was he didn't hit him? Was it a two-way thing, or he did all the abusing? Or
no,
did you
of course
initiate
it
it?
was a two-way thing, what are you talking about? I was 17 and he was 18, right? But, like, the thing was, is
Both of
back in
you but I'm trying to
no,
say both of you hit each
I
other. Both of you hit.
I I have never, like, full on punched him, okay? I was holding his hand to make him not leave at the time when he pushed me down the stairs from my parents' house, okay? And then he was like, "Let go of me," and then he pushed me down the stairs. I don't think
Oh, well.
I've never been,
Was
capable
that
of
the only wait, that was the only time?
I've never, like, pulled anything
He
out
was
on
that
him.
was the only time he that was the only time he did anything to you?
I don't think so, actually, but it's been since I was 17, and I've tried to forget about like, I used someone else to forget about him. That's so fuck I know, and then
Yeah, see, that's not good. That
I
is
couldn't
where
forget
the
about
whole
him, and then, I
that
couldn't
is
forget
that is
about the
tricky.
other person. Yeah, so it's very good that
Yeah,
you
it's a revolving door. Yeah, when it gets
yeah,
there.
you
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to,
yeah.
like, take time to get closure and to get over things. Like, that's what I realized with my last that's why it took me 3.5 years to like someone, I think. And I was like,
And
maybe
throughout it, so you didn't do the whole. Okay, I got you. 3 years of celibacy.
I
I
already
just
did it,
find that really hard. I just
did it.
find that
Like,
really hard to believe. I just find that really hard to believe. But whatever, that's fine. I'm
I
not
have
gonna.
to, though, but
That's rare. Yeah, it's a
is it
unicorn. Because
rare, though?
most women that say that they've been, dating and trying other things throughout those 3 years.
No,
So
I really did try to date right after because I try to do the same thing. Like, I try to be like, "Okay, maybe I'll find someone to just, get over this person with." Didn't work because everybody so I started paying for my own dates, like, my own meal, because I don't like the thing where it's like,
you
"I paid
started
for your
paying for you pay
dude."
for a guy
I actually paid for 2 dudes, okay? And
on
they
the
still
first date. You paid for the dude.
they still harass me to come over to their place. They're like, "Come on, come on." It's just like not a big deal. Like we got along so well, and it's like I don't feel like we got along that well. That's the thing. It's like I think I know I like someone within the first 15 minutes. Is that fucked up?
Oh, that's not fucked up. That's real. It's real.
Like if
Well,
if
wait. So you only went on the date once, right? You didn't call back again because they don't want to waste their time. Or did
me
you
only
keep
went
call?
on a date once, like, oh, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not fucking bad looking, okay? So right
Right.
after that breakup, I tried to go on a date with like maybe 8 guys, okay? And maybe
Uh,
2 of them I had interest in,
Wait a
but
minute.
then
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. You said you will like them at 15 minutes in. So I'm assuming you liked them somewhat because you actually paid for the date. Is that
no,
correct?
I only paid for 2. The only
But
guys that I really
you had some sort of attraction at least because you actually
yeah,
said
but
yes,
I paid for
right?
myself after the second date because it seemed like every guy was thinking that, "Okay, if I pay for her dinner, she owes me something. She has to come back with me." Right? So
Wait a
I always buy
minute.
my
But
dates.
wait, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. You
I only paid
accepted the date because you
they
were somewhat what were they, what do you mean
okay,
by
no,
attracted? Do you mean like
the
physically
the
attracted that
no,
you would
the
give them a
attraction
chance or
the
or what do you mean?
attraction goes further than just physical attraction, because you could be super fucking hot, but super boring, and I hate to
Okay, I
say
got you. You got
boring.
the icks.
I
You
hate
gave me
to
the icks. Okay, I got you. I got you. I
because,
got you. I'll
like,
give you the
someone
icks.
can find me super fucking
All right.
boring, right? I'm
Yeah,
probably really boring and
most
gross
most
to s
women are. Most women are.
right, so, like,
Yeah.
but, like, boring to me is, like, we don't have anything in common. That's it. It's just, like
All right.
and you can
So they give you
pick
the ick factor, and you're like, all right, had a chance, but after that, now, okay. But that was just one day, right? You didn't go on repeat dates.
I'm not gonna go out on a repeat date if I already
Okay,
knew,
fair enough. Fair
right?
enough. All
Like,
right. All right. Good.
would
Good.
you?
No, fuck that. I waste my time. I mean, maybe 2 dates because I'm a guy because I have to try and see if they're willing to go on the second date. But then I realize that women are flaky as fuck and they have a roster of guys. But it is what it is.
I don't think
All
it
right,
was a roster back in the day for me, actually. I'm gonna be real.
you didn't have a roster. You
No,
didn't. Come on,
I
dude.
was trying to go one at a time, okay?
Okay.
This sounds horrendous, but it was Tinder. I used the worst app right
Oh
after my
God.
breakup, okay? Because I thought maybe I was like, okay, if I put in my description, looking for something serious, like as if that would make a difference, right? I'm like looking for something serious, and then guys are like, "Yeah, me too. I'm so sick of dating. I'm so sick of blah blah blah." And then you go on a date with them, and then okay, sometimes they're really nice, but they're not. We don't connect because I don't find them entertaining enough to be with, and it's not like entertaining as like, "Hey, are you slanging drugs or whatever?" No, it's like, do we have
Oh,
this type of interest? Like, okay, and this is so corny and sad, but, like, do you like anime? Do you like the video game? Do you like to go to the gym as well? Like, the gym is pretty common. That's pretty easy, but, like, anything else I say, if you don't understand what I'm referencing, it's pretty difficult to have a conversation because maybe I'm brain rotted, but that's, like, the criteria usually. It's like you can be really hot, and usually, I think I chose guys that were not that quote unquote hot because I was like, maybe they'll be really nice and they'll treat me right. But I was wrong because it just didn't work out. Yeah, I don't know.
This
I'm
is a
sorry.
prime example. This is a prime example that women don't know what they want. All right, I'm gonna end it.
You're trash.
I'm gonna end it
You're
here.
trying to cut it
I'm
off.
gonna end it here.
This guy is fucking crazy.